Right, folks, this is a new podcast from the two Mikes, and I'm going to give you old energy boy MG to introduce it.
Yeah, we've edited out all the nonsense from Mike Porky Parry, so it might be a bit shorter than usual.
Ha, 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 ha. In fact, I don't even sit on a couch. I sit on a high chair.
Well, your couch is
not
covered.
a high chair. I sit on a high back chair. Sorry, a high back chair.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the two Mikes on talkSPORT. Porky Parry last night launched an unprecedented attack on the new Sunderland manager, Simon Grayson, calling him a serial loser despite winning promotion with every team he's ever managed. This morning, the Porkmeister is unrepentant. He's not going back on suggestions that he thinks Simon Grayson is useless. The big question is, could he be right? How do you measure whether a manager is actually successful? 08717 22 3344. Coming up on the show, we've also got author Catherine Blythe coming on, telling us how to reset our body clocks. We've got a mixologist coming in for an early cocktail hour as well. Plus, it's Porky quiz time, with the subject of expertise being Poldark, Porky's favourite TV show. I'm predicting 1 out of 10. You're listening to the two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on talkSPORT. This is talkSPORT. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
A very good morning to you, Mike. A healthy debate will ensue.
Will it?
But I want to make it clear,
Yeah.
I did not call Simon Grayson useless. I wouldn't be that rude to somebody who's in
Well, you
in
did
a
according
profession.
to joe.co.uk.
No. And when I used the word pathetic in a tweet last night,
Yes.
that was a reference to this ridiculous wave of optimism about Sunderland. Now they've got Simon Grayson.
I see.
Now you keep repeating this mantra, he's got promotion at every club he's been to.
Yeah.
Never into the Premier League.
That's not the point. Let me just read the tweet for those who didn't see it from
Yes.
last night. I must be bladderated, said Porky, at about 9:04 p.m.
When I
which
wasn't.
I suppose you might well have been.
No, I wasn't.
I thought I just heard that Simon Grayson has been made Sunderland manager. A serial loser. Pathetic.
Yes. Pathetic.
Pathetic that he's been appointed.
It's pathetic that this, this huge wave of optimism. It's all great now. We've got Simon Grayson. Now, can I just tell you some facts, please? People keep chanting, well, every club he's managed, he's got promotion to.
Right.
Into the Championship at best.
All right, well, let me just read you another tweet that was sent out at 9:51 p.m.
Yes.
I really feel for all of you wonderful Sunderland fans. Simon Grayson is more likely to take you down than up.
Yes.
He's a hopeless manager.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So
but
you did call him hopeless.
Yes, but this is based on his track record, okay?
Okay.
At Huddersfield Town, he was sacked after going 12 games without a win. Right? This is part of the CV of the new Sunderland manager.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
At Leeds...
Was that before or after he got them promoted?
Sorry?
Was that before or after he got them promoted?
After.
After he got them promoted,
yes, right, okay. At Leeds United, right?
Yes.
At Leeds United, he was sacked, right, after being hammered at home by Birmingham City 4-1 in his last Leeds game. The owners looked at it and said, this is hopeless. The man's got to go.
Yeah, but at Leeds, they're all sacking managers. You can't really claim that him being sacked from Leeds proves that he's a hopeless manager.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
Well, how many managers have they sacked at Leeds?
But hang on, they didn't sack their last manager. The last manager left.
Yeah.
If you remember, okay?
Yeah, but don't talk about the last manager. Talk about all the other managers that have been there in the time since the new owners have been there.
No.
There have been managers sacked, managers hired, managers sacked again. It's been going on for ages.
Gary Monk left. He did a very good job. Simon Grayson had exactly the same facilities and resources at his disposal.
Yes.
But let's just get to where he was last, right?
Yeah.
Everybody said, he's left Preston now, he couldn't get them up.
Yeah.
He left Preston North End in 11th place, 18 points off the playoffs, right?
Yeah, right.
So when people said, he just missed out on getting Preston North End into the Premier League.
There's a lot of clubs that didn't get into the playoffs.
So they were more than halfway down the table, right?
Yeah.
They're beyond halfway down the table, 18 points off the playoffs. That was a team who have all the resources to make a challenge to get promoted to the Premier League. Yes, Preston North End.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes, I do.
What makes you think Preston North End are in any way close to being a Premier League club?
Well, they have the resources to get there if they want. David Moyes proved that years ago.
David Moyes?
Yes.
You're not going to quote David Moyes. He's a useless manager. You talk about useless managers.
I'm not getting into that at all. What I'm saying is, where is this wave of great optimism about Simon Grayson? If he finished 18 points off the playoffs places last season, how's he going to improve on that this season?
Well,
now, that's my evidence, and that's why.
All right, well, that's partly...
I'm not taking all this, ridiculous criticism for being unkind to Simon Grayson. I'm merely stating the facts.
Yes, OK. So calling him pathetic and calling him hopeless...
I didn't call him pathetic.
Well, you did, apparently. And then here's another one saying, no point giving me a bit of stick. If Simon Grayson was made manager of my club, I would emigrate to Ulaanbaatar.
Yes, I would.
Would you?
I would, of course I would.
A lot of people are hoping for that to happen.
Of course I would, because and that's a reference reference to the fact that he's not even Premier League quality manager under any circumstances whatsoever.
Okay, well, you
so
might say
even if
that.
he got them up by some miracle, which won't happen, they'd have to replace him for a campaign in the
There's a lot of
Premier
Newcastle
League.
fans have been tweeting us already saying how much they fear the Porky jinx, and now you've said he's never going to get them up, that Sunderland will in fact come back up. We want to hear from you, Sunderland fans.
I'd be surprised if he lasts the season.
Well, let's see what Sunderland fans have to say. 08717 22 3344, because lots of people have said things to me in the sort of since the time you made all these statements last night.
Oh yeah, was that the bloke at the bus stop this morning? Was it? Yeah.
No, there wasn't a bloke at the bus stop this morning, actually.
Really? Oh, no. Okay.
I was talking to a couple of people at the bus stop, but neither one of them were blokes, actually.
Oh,
but
really?
there you are.
A couple of women you're trying to tap up at the bus stop, eh?
No, I always see the same two women at the same bus stop.
Oh, really? That's very convenient.
One of them has a baby with her, so we always talk about children, but of course you wouldn't be able to have that conversation because you haven't had any, have you?
No, I haven't, and I haven't abandoned any.
Should we move on from the bus stop conversation? Why don't we ask you a proper question, which has been put to me by somebody on Twitter. Ronald Koeman has not won anything for Everton, therefore he's not a success. So prove to me that Ronald Koeman is a successful manager in the Premier League.
Ronald Koeman is a very successful manager in the Premier
League.
Why?
What's he done?
By dint of the fact that he was appointed at Southampton, did a brilliant job. He then went to another club, my club, Everton, where he's going to do a brilliant job.
He did a better job at Southampton than he did at Everton because Southampton actually finished higher up in the table, didn't they?
No.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't.
Yes, they did. Why do you keep disagreeing with me?
What are you trying to say?
Well, where did Southampton finish when Ronald Koeman was their manager?
Below 6th place.
6th?
Everton finished 6th.
Everton finished 6th? Yeah.
Southampton finished
below
below
So he did much better with Southampton, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
All right, OK.
No.
I'll tell you what, why don't you give out the number?
The number is, right, and I want to hear from Sunderland fans, I want to hear from Newcastle fans, because I'm going to praise Newcastle and say, at least when they went down, they made sure they had in the hot seat a chap who'd just gone and won, well, not just, a chap who'd won the Champions League, a chap that had managed Liverpool, a chap that had managed some of the biggest clubs in the world, Real Madrid. So they decided to do business and get a manager in there who knew what he was doing.
I thought he was just going to give the number out.
Mr. Grayson is not of that calibre. The number is, and this is the non-mangled mouth version, OK? 08717 22 33 44.
Thank you very much indeed. We want to hear from Sunderland fans. We want to hear from Everton fans and also anybody in the Premier League, you know, because, for example, Mauricio Pochettino has not yet really won anything with Spurs.
Yes.
Does that mean he's not a successful manager?
Yes.
Does it?
Sorry?
So you're saying Mauricio Pochettino... You're not listening to me, are you?
I was listening.
Try and keep up. It's only 10 minutes into the show.
Say that again.
Is Mauricio Pochettino a successful manager because he hasn't won anything for Spurs?
He's a very successful manager because he is on the brink of winning things for Spurs.
So you could be on the brink of winning something, so that could make you successful.
Yes, indeed.
Well, then Simon Grayson might be on the brink of coming up back to the Premier League with Sunderland.
No, he's not.
So it would make him successful.
His track record says that he has a catalogue of failure behind him.
He does. His track record has 43% win ratio.
What,
right?
below half?
43%.
Below 50%. You're saying that's successible.
There's a lot of managers in the Premier League that would like that record.
Did you pass maths O level?
Yes, I did actually.
Right. Well,
should we have a maths test?
If I were you, I'd go back and
should we have a maths test? 43% is a better record than David Moyes has had at any of the clubs he's been at recently.
4 games out of 10.
It's a lot better record.
Rubbish.
It is.
Utter drivel.
All right. Well, let's get David Moyes' record up, shall we? We'll get going on that one as well.
Yes.
This is the number to call: 08717 22 33 44. We'll be taking loads of your calls coming up.
OK, folks, this is the Two Mics. We're on talkSPORT and we are with Wix. Buy one, get one free on all Cuprinol wood care. But please hurry up, because it ends on Monday.
Certainly does. Now, let me give you a few statistics, OK? You were moaning and groaning at 43%.
Why are you giving me stats?
Because you're
Why don't we debate it?
Because you know that you're in the wrong. First of all, can I just repeat to you that Ronald Koeman took Southampton to 6th place in the 15-16 season.
Right.
He took Everton to 7th place. I don't know what planet you're on if you think Everton finished 6th.
No,
because
they
didn't. They finished 7th. So please, would you mind saying, yes, I was wrong to suggest that. Thank you very much for repeating the correct scores.
I'm very happy to clarify those statistics.
Right.
Thank you.
Now, are you moaning and groaning that, you know, haven't you done your maths O level? 43% win percentage. How good is that?
Yes.
David Moyes' managerial record, his entire managerial record, right? 42.57.
Why are you telling me that?
So that's even worse.
Hang on, why are you telling me that?
Because you love David Moyes. You think this guy's a brilliant manager.
David Moyes got nothing to do with this.
Do you know? Well, he was manager of Sunderland.
He was manager of
Do you
Sunderland.
Do you know what his win percentage was?
Who?
David Moyes.
You've just told me.
No, that was his career percentage.
Oh, OK.
Do you know what his percentage was at Sunderland?
It wasn't good.
18.4.
Why are you telling me this? I don't care.
Because you need some re-education.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Right.
Let's go to the phones because we've got loads and loads of people to talk to. 08717 223344. But first of all, we got John Richardson, who's a football reporter up there in the North East, who can tell us more about what the reception is going to be like for Simon Grayson. John, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, the two mics. Absolute privilege.
Thank you very much
Johnny.
indeed for coming on. Now, we understand that you've known Mr. Parry for quite some time. We'll get into that a little bit later because I'm expecting a few decent stories out of you, to be honest. But first of all, Simon Grayson, is he being welcomed with open arms?
No, he's not. I think the Wearside public are underwhelmed, to be honest. I mean, there was talk of Jurgen Klinsmann earlier in the week, and I think people were getting excited about that. But you know, you look at Simon Grayson, and I've been listening to you boys, and I'm in between. It's not an exciting appointment, but he has got the pedigree of the Championship. He knows what the Championship's all about. You know, if Jurgen Klinsmann or somebody came in, like Derek McInnes, who was their first choice, of course, who turned it down, you know, when the Aberdeen manager turns it down, you know you're in trouble. It's a club in a mess, but at least Grayson knows the Championship. But there's a lot of hard work to be done there because he's going to inherit players who don't want to play for the club, who obviously threw in the towel in the last few weeks of the season. I know that from talking to people up there. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, it's a step up, isn't it, from Preston? So you're going to take the job, and if you fail, you go off with a load of money. So it's a no-brainer. Simon Grayson does know the Championship. He does know the players, but will he be given the money? You know, I don't know. I can see it being a recipe for disaster, to be honest.
John, to me, it's a sticking plaster because they just don't know what to do at Sunderland. They don't know if they're selling the club. They don't know if the club's staying there. I mean, at least Newcastle, took looking at a problem and said, you know, difficult situations need difficult solutions, and they did do a brilliant job of getting Rafa to stay there. Sunderland showed no such ambition. If I was owned of Sunderland, Johnny, I'd have gone to see Nigel Pearson and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Yeah.
Well, Rafa Benitez left Real Madrid and Simon Grayson left Preston. So
exactly.
There you are.
Yeah.
But having said that, Mike, I mean, I can see the argument towards Grayson because, as I say, he does know the Championship. He does know the players.
But he's never done anything in the Championship, Johnny. He got sacked at Leeds because they got hammered 4-1. He got sacked at Huddersfield for losing 12 consecutive games.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a relatively decent job at Preston. I know where you're coming from, but where'd you go? Nigel Pearson, that would be good. I mean, I know they spoke to Ali McCoist, the former Rangers manager. Now, Ali knows Sunderland. You know, he loves the club. But Martin Bain, the chief executive, said, no, we're going to go for somebody else. Now, you know, McCoist, for me, you know, I'd have gone for somebody like that because I think McCoist he's charismatic. But it doesn't matter who they get, Mike. You know, if the money's not there, I mean, Ellis Short, his heart is not in the job, is it? He's desperately trying to sell the club.
Yes. And what's the landscape for selling it like, John? I mean, are there potential buyers out there? We always hear little stories about possible Chinese consortiums here, there, and everywhere. But I mean, is there anyone in the wings?
Yeah, well, Mike, I think a German consortium came very close to buying it, and that's where Jurgen Klinsmann links came. But at the last minute, and I don't know why, but at the last minute, obviously the money wasn't good enough for Mr. Short, and he's decided to stay put. But, you know, he's a man who doesn't really want to be there. So is he going to be spending millions? Of course he's not. No. You know, if you're in charge of your business and you're trying to sell it, you're not going to invest lavishly, are you?
No, of course you're not. Where does this put the Sunderland fans, Johnny, who you've known for decades, and 5 managers in 5 years? That's not the way to treat your fans at a major club.
It's not, but you look at the managers, Mike. They've been good managers. You know, they've been names, haven't they?
Well, yeah.
You know, it started with Steve Bruce. You had Sam Allardyce. You know,
Dick Advocaat, Moisey.
Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with those.
Moisey, but the man whose win ratio is 18% at Sunderland.
Yeah,
Moisey.
Well, Mike, he was shell-shocked from Manchester United. I don't think he's recovered from that.
I don't think he has, no.
He's definitely not the manager he was at Everton.
Yeah.
I think he needs to take a break from the game, reassess himself, because, you know, he was a good manager, and nobody can argue about that.
Yeah.
But at Man United, was he given the opportunity? But I do know from seeing David that he's I don't know, the lights are on, there's nobody at home. I think he was really hurt by what happened at Manchester United.
Sure.
He made the wrong move to go to Real Sociedad. I don't know why he did that. He should have waited longer. And at Sunderland, he just hasn't got into it. But at the same time, I don't think he was helped by the board there. I don't think the money was available. He also inherited players who, I don't know, well, they really threw the towel in towards the end. I know that for a fact. I know that players were feigning injuries.
Yeah,
they didn't want to play. It's a real mess.
Well, I mean, you don't want,
Simon Grayson is inherited.
Yeah, and Simon Grayson doesn't hold the authority that David Moyes held. So I think the players are going to be in even more rebellious mood, aren't they? Because they're going to say,
well, you can't say that.
Is this guy fit to manage our club?
Well, let me read you this tweet from Andy, who says, please tell that plank that Preston had one of the lowest budgets in the division for the last 2 seasons. So, he did not have the wherewithal, perhaps, to get them up into the playoffs. And Herbie says, as a Leeds United fan, Simon Grayson did a brilliant job for us. Mike Parry's talking rubbish.
No, a good manager doesn't blame his chequebook. A good manager inherently has the skill to pull players together. I mean, doesn't he?
Well, whoever's there, it's going to be a tough job because you've got to get rid of those players who don't want to play for the club, and that's going to be hard. And also, as Newcastle found out, Sunderland are going to be the big boys coming to town. It's 46 games. I mean, it's like a hamster wheel. It's non-stop. And, Sunderland coming to town. Oh yeah, we're going to try and beat them. Yeah. And that's what Newcastle had to put up with.
Exactly.
Just because you're a big club and you can see it right through. Leeds. Look at Leeds.
Yes.
How long they've taken to get back. I think they've been there 7 or 8 years.
Yes.
I mean, it's a tough ask.
Yeah, talking about a tough ask, John. I understand you've known Porky here for several decades. I mean, you're the only person I've ever met who's known him for that length of time and hasn't fallen out with him.
What?
We've had some great times. In fact, Mike, I can say where I am now. I'm in a place you know very well, Abersock.
Abersock, beautiful. North Coast.
What are you doing there?
North Wales coast.
Cheshire by the sea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely love it, Johnny. Have a great time there, mate.
Porky claims he met you in the Dorchester of the North recently.
Yes, the Dorchester of the North.
The Grosvenor Hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple of scoops.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Was he behaving himself? Didn't get thrown out the bar or anything, did he?
Well, that was early on. I wouldn't have liked to have seen him 4 or 5 hours.
Well, we won't go into that. Johnny, I'm going to be up in Chester over the summer, mate.
Great.
Get your drinking arm in shape, okay?
I look forward to it, and it's a great show. Best show on radio.
All right, mate. Thank you very
John.
much
Appreciate
indeed.
it. John Richardson, the friend of the Porkmeister, the North East football reporter. Actually, seemingly slightly backing up your suggestion that Sunderland supporters are not entirely overwhelmed by the appointment of Simon Grayson. We're going to take some calls in a moment.
That's right.
08717 22 3344. Let me just point out to you just another statistic for you.
Okay.
Guess what Ronald Koeman's winning percentage is at Everton for last season?
Last season?
Yeah.
It would be in the 40s.
41.94.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you do your maths O-level?
I did my maths.
Did you pass it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Why do you think that's a good figure then?
Well, because that's first season-itis.
I see.
Yeah.
But he came 7th.
Yeah, first season-itis.
Most Premier League managers actually have a win percentage in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
So you're the one that needs to re-look at your statistical information.
You wait and see what Ronald Koeman does this season, okay?
I can't wait. This is talkSPORT. Star Sixers is reuniting some of football's great names in London this summer. You can catch the fast-paced six-a-side action at the O2 from the 13th to the 16th of July as huge stars compete in a Legends World Cup with 12 nations battling it out.
That's absolutely right. Star Sixers boast some of the biggest names in recent footballing history, including World Cup winners Roberto Carlos, Robert Perez, Marcel Desailly, Alessandro Del Piero and Carlos Puyol. Tickets, which start at £30 for adults and £10 for under 16s, are on sale now at www.starsixes.com.
That's right. Head to talksport.com/win now for your chance to win 4 tickets to Star Sixes, as well as a shirt signed and presented by one of the Star Sixes captains, maybe even Carlos Puyol. This is
Sorry,
talkSPORT.
what are you laughing at?
As your pronunciation of Puyol always makes me smile.
Why?
You can't quite get it right.
Well, I can get it right, and I think we should move on now.
Yeah, I think we should. How about this one from Mark, who says, I'd rather have Larry Grayson than Simon Grayson. I'm with Porky on this one.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk to a couple of Sunderland fans.
The tide is turning.
Now, let's just talk to a couple of Sunderland fans. We've got loads of calls to take. Please do join in the debate, because I don't know what actually defines a successful manager in the Premier League anyway, never mind in the Championship. 08717 22 3344. Let's talk to Stephen in Cornwall. Hi, Stephen.
You all right?
Yeah, very well.
Mate,
What would you like to say, man?
Obviously, his name doesn't jump out off the page. Well, at the end of the day, I think he's going to be a good fit for Sunderland, Because if you go on the Sunderland website and listen to what he's saying, that he's going to try and sign players, not for the money. They're not going to come there for the money like half of the people who signed in the past who've just come to Sunderland for a pension book or just come because we had to pay double the figures to get him up to Sunderland. And to be honest, where he's gone, he's always improved the side. Yes, it might have been League One. What's he not going to say that's going to do in the Championship? Who else could have got? Nigel Pearce, who's got more loose than a hand grenade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got enough problems by signing him.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think Grayson's going to be an excellent appointment. And I'll do a bet with you, Mike Parry.
Yeah.
I'll do you a bet. If we actually do more, finish more, I would say finish above the playoffs, like in the playoffs and above this season.
Yeah.
You've got to take me out for a steak dinner. If we don't, I'll take you out. I'll pay for your hotel in Sunderland, and I'll pay for you because I think he's going to do a good job, and I think he's going to shock a lot of people.
I like it.
All right, Steve. Well, listen, I'm not going to take your money off you, so we're not going to strike that bet. Although it's good of you to try and draw me into it because
money.
You're scared to come and meet.
Yeah, he's scared to meet you. Yeah, he's scared.
I'm a Joe Public, and I'm a weirdo because I'm not a part of the media, and I'm not on the radio.
That's it. Yeah.
No, not at all.
He only likes to meet.
I'm unwatchable.
Unwatchable, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Stephen,
you know what I mean?
Stephen, you're a great Sunderland supporter, but I think you've failed to notice that at the two clubs that Simon Grayson got sacked from, he was hopeless. So what makes you think he's going to do any better at Sunderland?
Anybody you speak to, I know a Leeds fan who said that they've got all good things to say about him. Huddersfield fans, yes, it might have in the Huddersfield, but he got Huddersfield. Look where Huddersfield are now. I don't think Huddersfield would be there now if it wasn't for him in the first place from getting him out of League
That's a very
One.
good point.
Hang on, they went 12 games without a win.
Wherever he's gone. It's people like you who put people down, mate.
That's right.
You're putting people down before they even start.
Yeah.
No, listen, mate, I'm looking at the facts.
I always shows everybody wrong. Who was Alex Ferguson before he went to Manchester United?
Well, he had done quite well at Aberdeen, to be fair.
Who we're going to get again? Paulo Di Canio. What did Paulo Di Canio do? No. Gus Poyet.
Paulo Di Canio was useless.
Roy Keane got us up, but he was another head case. He used to smash all the boards up when he was giving tactics out.
Yeah, well, that's the way he works.
As well.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, this person's come with knee garbage like half of the rest of the managers we've had.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we've just got to stick with him because at the end of the day, he's wanted to come to Sunderland.
Yeah.
He's wanted to come.
Well, of course he wants to come to Sunderland. They're paying him more money probably than his last
Stephen,
club.
listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed. We've got to move on. It's a very generous offer he made to you there, but it's shocking that you turned that down on the grounds that he's one of the great unwashables.
I cannot take advantage of our tremendous army of listeners.
Let's talk to Stuart, who's also a Sunderland fan.
Yep.
Stuart, very good morning to you.
Good morning, gents. How are you?
Yeah,
Hello,
very
Stu,
well.
very good, thank
Stephen
you.
was a bit excitable there, but he was hopeful that something good would come from this. What do you think?
The jury's definitely out on this one. I kind of seem to think where that last call is coming from. No offence to a fellow Mackem, but there's no hope for Sunderland at the minute. Just shows you the plight of the club at the minute, with us struggling to get any attraction from the managers that we've been interviewing.
Yeah.
You look at who's been spoke about over the last few weeks. You're talking about Gary Monk, McKinn's from Aberdeen. There's been a few on that list.
Yeah.
And, we've got right down the bottom of this list now and come out with Simon Grayson.
That's
which,
right.
no offence to the guy, I don't really know too much about him.
Yeah.
But from what I have seen, he's promotion from League One to the Championship.
That's right.
And we're in the Championship and we're a club that should be in the Premiership, but at the state of it at the minute, he'll do all right next season trying to get us back in the Championship. Maybe that's about it.
Well,
one
I
of the
think
problems,
he's going to struggle to keep you in the Championship.
Well, one of the troubles.
Honest.
Well, I mean, Chris has tweeted in, and he says that Sunderland remind me of Villa right now. Disinterested owner, a relegation after flirting with it, tough times ahead, and that's the fear, isn't it? That Sunderland go down into the Championship and they just keep kind of sinking.
Yeah, that's the way it's heading. That's the feeling we've had for quite a while now. At the club, it's much more than the manager and the players. There's something underlying at the club that's wrong. The turnover in managers is embarrassing. We're rivals up the road there who attracted Rafa Benitez to bring them back up. And he's done a great job of getting them back up, and we've got Simon Grayson. So it's not looking very promising, and it is just going to be a slippery slope down by the looks of it.
That's right, absolutely, sure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks
and once
very
again,
much indeed.
Tide very much turning now in my favour. This explosion of outrage last night because I doubted the ability of Simon Grayson is now turning to, in the clear light of day, turning into the cogent argument.
No, there's a terrible tweet
that we're
been sent
developing
in from somebody called Marky, who says, "Can you get subtitles on the radio for all these angry Mackems ringing in?" That's a disgraceful thing to say.
Disgraceful thing to say.
And Brent says this: Sunderland fans saying he's an unwashable. Us Newcastle fans have been right all along.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk to Danny, who's a Newcastle fan,
That's
who
right.
must be delighted that you're promoting Sunderland as having appointed a very, very bad manager.
Yes.
Danny, very good morning to you.
Now then, chaps, how are you doing?
Yeah,
Very
very
well
well
indeed,
What would you like to say?
second time this week I'm agreeing with Porky. Well done, sir. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think you maybe could have articulated the criticism a little bit better. I've got to be honest.
No, I couldn't, Danny. I laid my points out very cogently.
Listen, I mean, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
To be honest, I agree with both of you. Porky, you're right. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say it was a pathetic appointment. Mm-hmm. I think it's a perfect appointment for the level of club that Sunderland now are and probably should have been for the last 5 years. He's a manager that's probably an average Championship / good League One, which I think Sunderland will be in. Mm-hmm. And just don't put that first caller back on because he'll bite me head off for saying that.
He will. He will. You see, I mean, that's very unfair roughness you're using there, unnecessary roughness, they would say in the NFL. You know, because Newcastle just got promoted, Sunderland just got relegated. I mean, don't you fear the Porky jinx, though? I mean, if Porky's saying Sunderland are going to have a terrible season, there's always a pretty good chance that they'll have a great season.
Rubbish.
No, well, I'm not being funny, but we have to think logically about this, don't we? This is Sunderland. Look at the track record over the last 5 or 6 years in the Premier League. They should have been relegated a long time ago. Yeah. The only reason they weren't is because they managed to pull X amount of wins in a row against Newcastle. We were the only team that was managing to keep them up for the last few years. Now that they're in the Championship, they're going to be mid-table best. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in a relegation battle. And if they went down to League One again, I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think they've got the right manager in. But I also agree with Porky that he's not really of the calibre that I think Newcastle or any other team in the Premiership would go for.
Exactly.
Not Premier League.
Exactly, because he won't get him back. Danny,
thanks very much indeed. Let's hear from a Preston North End fan, because Ben is one of those, and of course he was the manager of Preston, who don't apparently have very much money. Ben, very good morning. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm just saying, really, I partly agree with Porky. I think it'd probably be a good fit, because if you give Grayson some money, the players that he signed for North End that he paid money for have been flops, to be honest. The players where he's paid next to nothing for them, they've been brilliant. So I think it's a good fit. But I just don't think Sunderland don't like his football. It's very direct. It was big boot from keeper to Ugill to win the ball, to bring it down, to play it to the next forward next to him. I don't think. Are you
sorry to see him go, Ben?
Yeah, I am. I'm not going to come on here and say, look, I didn't like him or anything, because I made a call before the playoffs saying how well he was doing and all this lot. But when I was gutted yesterday, but then when I've thought about it, speaking to my dad last night and stuff, we said at the start of the season we were looking to get him. There were people calling for him out because he only won 6-7 games. He didn't win for 6-7 games. And then it tailed off again towards the end of the season. So look, he's a good manager. He gets something out of players that like nobody else can do. Like Ugill was bought for 25.
Yeah, but what sort of players? What sort of players, Ben? You know, what sort of players is he turning into average footballers? Useless players.
Well, McGeady was for a start. He was Chef Wednesday sent him back. Yeah. They calling him useless, and yet he come back to us. And it's guaranteed that McGeady's going to follow. He's not coming back to North End. He'll go to Sunderland. But it's things like that. Robinson, again, he was...
I mean, McGeady's such an erratic player. You know, he's a genius one minute and he's just not interested the next. You know, that's the impression you get with him.
It must be something Grayson can do. That's one thing. They might not need to spend any money because they might have... The players that they've got there now, Grayson might be able to get the most out of them. So, it's but I think, in a way, I'm not glad, but in a way, it's a new thing. Let's see what Preston can do now with a different manager.
Exactly. It's an opportunity for you. It's a great opportunity for you. You finished 18 points off the playoff places. What kind of an ambition is that?
Well, how about this one from Harvey, who says Simon Grayson signed Beckford from non-league for Leeds, and 3 years later Everton signed him.
Yeah, we did.
Talk about useless players.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but it didn't last, did it? By the way, a great one here comes from Pete. He says, groundbreaking broadcasting indeed this morning. The two mics managed to find a friend of Porky's.
It's true. Shocking news. This is talkSPORT. Quick birthday shout-out from Craig, who says, hey, guys, can I please have a shout-out today as it's my birthday? I'm 43, and I'm a regular listener, love the show.
Yeah.
43.
43.
What do you mean,
Yeah. Who's that?
Well, you're supposed to say happy birthday.
Who is it?
Craig.
Craig, happy birthday, mate. 43. It's a great age. Have a great life in front of you. Got a text here. I'm not sure who it's coming from, and it says, hilarious. Newcastle fans slagging off Sunderland. We've had 10 years in the Premier League. And he's saying they haven't. They've been up and down like a yo-yo. So there you go.
Well, can you make any sense of that? Can you read it again with some sensible accent on it?
No.
All right, well, let's talk to John, who's a Sheffield United fan.
That's right.
John, very good morning to you.
Morning.
Morning. What would you like to say, John?
Just really a bit word of warning for any Sunderland fans that are criticising the appointment. Be careful what you wish for if you wish for a bigger name.
Yeah.
Sheffield United got relegated from the Premier League after Neil Warnock departed, and fell straight through to League Two. And we've had big names, we've had Nigel Clough, Nigel Adkins, bigger names than that around, Brian Robson at the club. And none of them have performed. And then we take a leap of faith with Chrissy Wilder, who comes up from League Two management after League Two promotion. First season brings in the right players from the lower divisions and takes them out with 100 points, walking the league.
Yeah. OK, that's great stuff.
Right man for the right job.
OK, John, you're absolutely right. But, I mean, that doesn't happen every day of the week. That happens occasionally. It's happened to you. I'm very, very pleased for you. But you're only halfway to where you want to be, aren't you? The Premiership.
I know, but we're not talking about Sheffield United, though, are we? We're talking about Sunderland getting the right manager. They've tried all the big names. Yeah. They've tried all the big players. What they need to do is go with somebody who's used to playing in those lower leagues, knows the players, knows how to fight and battle out of those leagues, 46 games, and they've got the man who's going to try and do that.
Yep.
You try and bring a big name in who only plays 38 games a season with big professionals who just want to roll up once a week. But looking for European football, it doesn't work in these divisions, and this manager will know what does work.
Okay. No, I think you're absolutely right, John. Let's have a look at some of the Sunderland managers, right? Going back from where we were.
Yes.
You got Sam Allardyce, you got David Moyes, you got Dick Advocaat, you got Gus Poyet, you got Kevin Ball, caretaker, Paolo Di Canio, Martin O'Neill,
complete
all of whom were less successful actually than Simon Grayson has been at other clubs. But let's talk to Sean, who I don't think is too happy. He's a Sunderland fan. Hi, Sean.
Hey lads, how are we doing?
Yeah, very well, Sean.
Very
how
well,
are you?
Sean. What do you make of it all?
Well, it's just something all over again, isn't it? I mean, last season we ended up with David Moyes at last minute after Sam Allardyce's departure. Now the players are back for pre-season training. Here we are with Simon Grayson in charge. I mean, it's not Simon Grayson's fault. He's probably done a good job at all the clubs he's been to. But you've just hit the nail on the head when you mentioned all them managers' names. All them managers can't be bad managers. There's something else completely wrong with a football club.
Yeah, that's right.
And what do you think that is?
Well, I think it comes from the owner in some of his decisions. I mean, he's trying to sell the club, and obviously he didn't get what he wanted for the club money-wise, so obviously he's backed out.
Right.
But there's only one man to blame for Sunderland's demise in the last couple of years, and that's Roy Hodgson.
Roy Hodgson?
Yeah, because if he hadn't been so useless as England manager, then Sam Allardyce would have still been with Sunderland, and we would have been mid-table.
Oh, so
very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. It's a very good point. I'll go along with that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, talking useless managers, Roy Hodgson definitely fits the bill for that.
Well, you see, you've got a downer on Roy Hodgson.
Well, of course I've got a downer on Roy Hodgson.
You're rather rude and positioned on Roy Hodgson.
Have you seen what happened in the last two tournaments that Roy Hodgson took into?
You can't insult a guy like Roy Hodgson. He's a gentleman in the game.
You've insulted Roy Hodgson plenty of times.
Yeah, but you just blandly say he's useless.
Well, he is useless.
Well, I don't like talking about people like that.
What's Roy Hodgson done? Well, you've called Simon Grayson hopeless.
I have indeed. But
What's
that's
the difference
based on his
between calling
track
somebody
record.
hopeless and calling somebody useless?
Well, it's based on his track record, and he's the man of the moment. You can't blithely just keep plucking Roy Hodgson's name out the air just so you can call him useless.
No,
that's
Sean,
not fair.
Sean called him useless, and I agree with him.
Yeah, well.
Taylor says, how can you praise Gary Monk for winning absolutely nothing, yet slate Simon Grayson? It's a very good point.
Gary Monk has a presence about him. He has a
but he hasn't won anything, is he?
A strong presence, and he has a very firm jaw, and you kind of know.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you know what you're getting.
You don't like Simon Grayson because of the shape of his face? Is that what you're telling me?
There is. I can tell from a man's face whether I think he's up to the job or not. I was the first guy to say Stuart Lancaster would be the most useless head of rugby.
Useless?
Yeah,
You just said you don't like calling people useless.
Well, based on the track record, you have to say that Stuart Lancaster was no good. In the face of Simon Grayson, I see doubt. I see doubt that he can take on the challenge and do it.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk to Jack, who's a Preston fan. Hi, Jack.
Okay.
Hi, are you okay?
Yeah, good.
Okay,
What
Jack.
do you want to say, Jack? You sorry to see him go?
Yeah, absolutely devastated. And to be honest with you, I agree with that Sheffield United fan you had on earlier. You could appoint like a big name. You could if you wanted to. But quite often the Championship's one of them divisions. You need to know how to fight. Big teams come down, they're not going to go straight back up. Simon Grayson's got the know-how. And honestly, I can't understand all these Sunderland fans ringing you up and saying that he's not the right man or they're disappointed.
Well, why did he not do better for you then, Jack?
Well,
18 points away from the playoff places.
No, listen, on a limited budget, you've got to understand that Championship now, teams are gambling to get into the Prem.
Yeah.
He didn't gamble.
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
What he did was very cleverly manage the funds he had to get the right men for the job. Now at Sunderland, he's going to have a bit more of a different challenge, isn't it? It's going to be a much different challenge because he's now going to have a lot more money to spend. Yeah. And let's see how he does with that. But it's the wrong thing to do to be writing him off at this stage. Totally and utterly.
Well, the thing is, Jack, you in your division, there's a team called Huddersfield Town, okay? And Simon Grayson got the bullet from Huddersfield Town after he went 12 games without a win. Huddersfield Town have just been promoted to the Premier League with a manager who didn't actually change the squad last summer.
No, listen, the building blocks of what Simon Grayson did was there for everyone to see. He did it at Leeds, he did it at Huddersfield, he did it at Blackpool, he did it at Preston. Okay, he's never had that shot at the Premier League. Yeah. But every single place he's gone, and I'm sure every single fan that who's ever had the privilege of him being the manager of would agree, he's put the building blocks in place, he's got the players to work hard and try hard.
And then he leaves.
Sorry, say again?
And then he leaves. He either gets sacked or he leaves. You know, there's no consistency to this man.
Well, that's true, and I am obviously absolutely devastated because as a Preston North End fan, we're not spending huge amounts of money. And it's going to be obviously difficult for us to...
Maybe you get David Moyes back, Jack.
Well, yeah.
Well, you'd have him back, wouldn't you? You'd have David Moyes back. He did a great job for you. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, thanks,
Jack. Thanks very much indeed.
Howard Kendall was once... No, he was Blackburn manager, that's right, yeah. He was, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Howard Kendall was the youngest ever player in a cup final when he played for Preston North End.
Longest ever player?
No, youngest ever.
Youngest ever. Yeah. How about this one from Steve, who says, we're a long time into the show and there's been no update on Porky's back. The British public need to know. We won't sleep until we do know. Okay. And Scott says, Psychic Porky's open for business. Face readings, just 25 quid.
Exactly.
This is talkSPORT.
Yes.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on talkSPORT. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be joined by Chief Sports Reporter from The Times, Martin Ziegler, about the possible collapse of the Ladies' European Golf Tour, which seems to be in all kinds of trouble. There's hardly any money in it. There's hardly any point in playing in it. We don't know what's going on. We're going to find out. Also, Catherine Blythe is going to join us. She's the author of a book called On Time, which is all about managing your time. It's all about resetting your body clock, and it's all about becoming even more of a success than Porky Parry is at the moment. Also coming up, we're going to be talking about a giant parrot that plays the drums, and the monkey selfie story has raised its head again as well. Don't forget the Porky quiz is coming up a little bit later. It's on Poldark. I'm predicting 1 out of 10. You're listening to the Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on talkSPORT. Nice one here from John, who said Porky's made himself look like a right plank today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that right? Well, there's another nice one here from Perry, who says, so many people agreeing with Porky this week, have the Russians swapped him for a doppelganger?
That's a very good question, actually. And here's one from, let me see, Laurie. I predict Koeman and Grayson will both do a great job this coming season. Koeman will then be off to Barcelona, and Grayson will replace him at Everton, and then Grayson will be the best thing since sliced bread in Porky's eyes.
How ridiculous.
And, of course, then you'll have to fulfil your promise, which is to go and live in Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah, that's right.
In a yurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, let's talk to a very, very important man, Martin Ziegler, who is the Chief Sports Reporter for The Times, of course. Fascinating piece in the paper this morning, Martin, in which you extrapolate why the Women's Golf Tour is on the brink of collapse in Europe. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, hi, Martin.
Yes, I think you said, I'm sure I'm not important at all, but anyway.
Well, you see, that's one of the main reasons we can tell you are, because you're so modest about it.
Exactly.
As Mr. Parry would say, you work for the world's greatest newspaper, the Thunderer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this seems to be more of a problem of sort of management than anything else, doesn't it? What is going on with the European Tour?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the women's, the ladies' European Tour, compared with the LPGA, the ladies' tour in America, that's going from strength to strength. The prize money is great. Sponsors are rushing in. Generally, and a lot of women's sport in Europe, it's going from strength to strength. Lots more interest, TV interest coming in, but it's not happening in the ladies' European Tour in golf. In fact, they've cancelled 5 tournaments already this season. They got an email a couple of days ago, all the players saying that one of the top tournaments, European Masters in Germany in September, that's bitten the dust. And they've been sort of warned, don't go on social media and express your frustrations. And actually, when I've accessed some of the financial accounts for the the company that runs it, and actually is looking really serious. They've basically nothing left in the bank.
No, absolutely right. Now, when we look at the earnings of players on the European Tour this year, the Britain, who's highest in the ladies' ranks, is only earning £57,000. So I beg your pardon, £63,000 a year. Melissa Reid. I mean, footballers get more than that a week. And it can't, it can't last, can it, for these women golfers? But the wider question I want to ask you, please, Martin, is this going to be a general malaise across professional women's sport? Because I'm not putting women's sport down. I think it's great. It's good to see, the girls getting stuck into it. But sometimes when I see a test match and there are two teams of women cricketers playing against each other, there's not a soul in the whole of the stadium. How is the funding issue sorted out amongst women's sports, which are not universally popular to the public?
I think what's happened is that if you look at, you can say that you can watch county cricket and there's hardly anybody in the stadium as well, men's county cricket. So it's I think it's a sort of in things like cricket. I can't even speak now. Where you have where the men's game is also organised as the women's game. Then actually you can share some of the income across from both. In golf, it's completely separate. In tennis, it's separate, but. In tennis, they've got to a situation where the women's tour actually have very, very good prize money, and for the majors, they're actually equal. So, from that point of view, they've made huge strides. I think what we are generally seeing is a gradual increase in interest in women's sport generally, and people are watching a lot more. I mean, some of the viewing figures for women's football is not. Obviously, on the continent, it's increasingly popular.
Yes.
But even in the UK, it's growing and growing and growing. So I think this is as far as the golf ladies tour is concerned.
Yes.
This is more a problem about management and accessing having the links and the acumen to get the sponsors in.
Okay. Well, that's right. I mean, the woman who seems to be in charge of it all, Helen Alfredson, according to your piece this morning, Martin, is talking in a very odd way in an email to the members of the tour, saying, please don't put this on social media.
Exactly.
Please don't tell anybody about this.
Secret.
I mean, it seems to be a very paranoid way of operating, and some of the players that you're quoting are saying that basically, this is the problem with the whole organisation. It's not very openly run. It's making losses all over the place. There doesn't seem to be much confidence in her or in her organisation.
Well, I think they've lost all confidence in it because they can't. This is actually lots of them are making a decent living. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about football type money or even men's golf type money, but or the American tour levels. But they were making enough to have a sort of what we would call decent living, and now, I mean, if you look below the top 20, I mean, we're talking €16,000, which is,
Well, they can't possibly even pay to travel to the tournaments making that kind of money, can they?
No. I mean, so it's basically, I think one of the people potentially just regards herself as a seasonal worker, like grape pickers or something like that.
That's right. So are they going to have to close it all down then and start again? That's what usually happens when, sporting organisations get themselves into such a muddle. I mean, we've got a fantastic heritage of women golfers in this country, haven't we?
Absolutely. I mean, and actually, if you look at some of Charlie Hull, who's sort of one of the biggest names in women golf, she's from this country. But I mean, she's on the American tour, so she's as far as she's concerned, she's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I think that obviously happened with Laura Davis, who's going for years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She was the biggest name in golf, in women's golf for ages, and a great, colourful woman. She liked to gamble, she liked driving around in Ferraris and all that kind of stuff. It's it's been a big sport in this country.
I mean, that is one of the reasons why American women's golf is so successful, because they have got some stars, haven't they? They've got a couple of sort of very young teenagers who started doing very, very well quite early on, and they've got people that people want to watch, right?
Yeah, that's right. But, I mean, there's no reason why you can't... I mean, Europe is never going to be as big as the USA, but there's no reason why you can't develop it and certainly do much better than they've done the last few years.
Yeah.
I think the people who run it, the chief executive who came from boxing, strangely enough, he's been there about 4 years. I think he was thinking that after women's golf was going to be in the Olympics, there was going to be a surge of interest and everything was going to be fine. Actually... the Olympics came and went, and nothing much changed.
Nothing much happened. So, I mean, is there a kind of overarching body that can look at this situation and say, clearly the people running the Women's European Tour are not fit for purpose, so we should appoint somebody else to do it? I mean, can that happen?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, board of directors can change the management. Obviously, they can bring in new people. But I think what it really needs is a complete new shake-up. And then a new approach, and getting some really professional people who can, have got the business link so that they can organise TV rights properly, organise sponsorship and tournaments properly, and I think that's what it really means.
It's a sad state of affairs anyway. Well, listen, Martin, thanks for explaining it to us. Let's hope that they can sort something out, because, I mean, one of the sports that actually you can watch if you were to take the view that, we'll say women's cricket is not as exciting as men's cricket. I mean, women's golf is as exciting as men's golf. There's hardly any difference because the skill levels are the same. They may not be hitting the ball. In fact, in some ways, because they don't hit the ball quite as far as the men.
Makes it more competitive.
It actually makes it a lot more competitive. And many of them are hitting a very long ball.
Yeah, they are.
But actually, it makes it quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I couldn't live with a woman golfer. Of
live with
ability to me, of course not.
What's that got to do with it?
Out on the course, I'm called.
Oh, I see. Well, you don't play golf. I don't know why you could carry on with this myth that you play golf.
Well, I have played golf, and you've played golf.
No, listen, I play golf, right, which means I played golf for a long time.
Yeah, but you haven't played for years.
I haven't played for a while.
Well, you don't play golf,
I've been a member of,
stop shouting at me.
I've been a member of several golf clubs. You have not played golf properly ever in your life. Ever.
Sorry, why are you getting so vicious and so?
Because I just don't occasionally.
About
I'm not getting poisonous. I just occasionally like it if you tell the truth.
Ability.
Don't pretend you play golf, because you don't.
What? So you've never seen me take a set of clubs
onto a golf course? I've seen you try to hit the ball, but I would not call you a golf.
Playing golf.
No, it's not.
It is.
You can't just pick up a golf ball and a set of clubs and say, I play golf.
Yeah, listen, I've got a fantastically expensive set of golf clubs.
Yeah, of course they'd be expensive. Yeah,
and I've been out there on the course.
Well, let's go for a
courses.
game of golf on Wednesday, right? We'll play for £1,000 a hole.
No.
And I'll give you 2 shots a hole, and I'll still beat you.
No, don't be ridiculous.
Okay, then. Bye-bye.
No.
This is talkSPORT.
No, I'm not doing that with you. OK, folks, now then, we, of course, are the Two Mikes. We are with Wix, and I can tell you...
What can you tell me?
Well, I can tell you is that what's happening round here is that the Two Mikes on talkSPORT with Wix can tell you about buy one, get one... Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Buy one, get one free on all Cooper and Old Wood Care. Hurry up, because the offer ends on Monday.
Excellent.
Yes.
How about this from Blue and Yellow? It says, only $63,000 a year. Is Porky having a laugh?
Well, no.
Some people think that's quite a lot of money.
Well, it is a lot of money, and of course I'm not being funny about, levels of earnings and all that kind of stuff. But when you consider that the American ladies earn, millions a year?
Well, some of them do, yeah.
Exactly. Certainly hundreds of thousands.
Well, certainly if you compare the list to the payments that players on the European Tour, the men's European Tour get, it's in the millions. Yeah.
Of course it is. And MG made a very good point that of the 63,000 I'm talking about there, about 50 grand of that, a grand a week, will be in hotels and travelling and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, it will.
So, it'd be possible to maintain. I've got a great...
Well, not everybody stays in hotels. I mean, for example, I used to know the professional at one of the golf clubs I was a member of for a while, went on the European Tour.
Okay.
And he took a caravan with him.
Yeah,
and basically, he didn't have enough money to stay in hotels, and some of the members of the club used to have a sort of whip round for him so that he could continue to play on the tour.
I tell you, it was interesting. When I did one of the majors once, it was at Royal of St Anne's, we had a hotel right down the other end of the front at Blackpool, you know. And I was always anxious to get there very early in the morning. I was doing the breakfast show with Al, so I wanted to get there for about 4:30, 4:45.
Yeah.
Transport was a nightmare because,
you
couldn't
get a cab?
You couldn't. They were all booked out to corporate hospitality and all that kind of stuff. So I booked out the hotel and I went and stayed in a B&B almost on the doorstep. And the only reason I got in was it was for caddies only.
Yes.
Right? But I was allowed because, I said,
you look a bit like a caddy.
I look a bit like a caddy, yeah. And I said, look, I'm a broadcaster, I'm desperate, I've got to get in the morning. They said, yeah. But they were sleeping 2 to a room in a £15 a night bed and breakfast.
Yeah. But that's probably because of the proximity to it. But I mean, you have to do things on the cheap. It's not like everybody's going around going, oh, let's get the massively lavish, house overlooking the 18th green or anything like that. That's not the way it works.
And yet Tiger Woods' caddy turned out to be a multi-millionaire, didn't he?
Well, because they get a cut of the winnings.
Of course they do, yeah.
And if your player is winning sort of 10, 20, $30 million a year,
that's right.
You're doing rather well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Alan says this, Porky said he had an expensive set of golf clubs. The word in the golf world is all the gear, but no idea.
All the gear, but no idea. That's very nice, isn't it?
That's
Thank
good,
you.
isn't it?
Now then, Jim says, Porky's rabbiting on again about Grayson being useless and sacked from previous clubs. Answer this question, Mr. Parry. How often were you sacked in Fleet Street? Well, I mean, look, we're not talking about me, are we? And I never got sacked anyway. I moved on sometimes.
Well, I think you might have been sacked once or twice. I saw an earlier one that said, when did you get sacked from? How many times did you get sacked from talkSPORT? But you've never been sacked from talkSPORT, as I pointed out.
Absolutely, yeah. Right, now then, what I want to talk to you about is a very interesting...
You said you've discovered some kind of remarkable parrot
it's absolutely
that plays
incredible.
the drums.
It's absolutely incredible. It's a report I came across this morning, right? And it is utterly fascinating, right? Yeah. A giant parrot has been unmasked as the rock star of the wild, making its own drumsticks and never missing a beat. The drumming ability of the northern Australian palm cockatoo is designed, not unlike some aspiring human equivalents, to impress the ladies.
So you're not actually telling me that it's a real parrot that actually plays the drums?
Yes, it does.
No, it's some kind of nature story.
No, it plays the drumsticks. The cockatoos use drumsticks fashioned from twigs or seed pods, which they grip in their left claw to beat out a steady rhythm on trees that are hollow. This is according to research in the journal that I've come across.
The Dead Parrot Weekly?
No, it's Science Advances.
Really?
Okay, Science Advances. Very scientific.
So is there a picture of this parrot?
Yeah, there is a picture of the parrot.
Is there any video of it playing the drums?
No, but I'll show you a picture. See how a fine blue parrot there? Yeah?
Yeah, it's a picture of a parrot and somebody's photoshopped it holding a twig.
No, it's
not exactly a massive story, is it?
No, this is an actual picture of it. It's not rubbish. Now, listen, I'll go on. While some animals have been known to bop along to rhythms made by others, you know, bop, 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 bop.
What's that from?
That's
Tutti Frutti, isn't it?
Yeah, Tutti Frutti, that's right, that's the one, yeah.
It's nothing to do with animals.
Okay, while some animals have been known to bop along to rhythms made by others, and elephants can be trained to hit drums, but that's cruel, because that's in a circus, the palm cockatoos are the first known to... What's your problem?
This is a ludicrous story.
No, it's not. The palm cockatoos are the first known to deliberately create their own rhythm with instruments.
Yeah. Anyone play bass as well, so they can have a bit of drum and bass.
If you can't say anything positive, just keep your mouth zipped,
okay,
right?
Then.
Other creatures fashion tools, but almost always for finding food.
Right.
A chimpanzee, for instance, can hunt for termites with a stick, or cracking nuts with a stone.
Yeah.
The cockatoos, though, will trim twigs to about 8 inches in length and use them as drumsticks.
Right.
Recording the drumming cockatoos proved not easy for the researchers who travelled...
So they've got no recordings of this?
Well, hang on, I'm getting to this.
Okay.
I'm explaining this.
All right, then.
Recording the drumming cockatoos proved not an easy task for researchers who travelled to the Cape York Wilderness in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
It took them 7 years in the rainforests to film 60 performances. Utterly fantastic, OK?
Yes.
And when the scientists studied the footage, they were surprised to note that the cockatoos were drumming in time rhythmically. So they drummed together.
Oh, right. More. How many of them?
3 of them.
3 of them?
We found that the drumming behaviour of the palm cockatoos is remarkably similar to how drumming is used to make music in human...
Was it Shawaddy Waddy that had 2 drummers?
Hang on. To make music in human societies, I think it was it was something like the Average White Band.
No, I don't think it was them. There was definitely a couple of bands that had more than one drummer.
Was that okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, we found that the drumming behaviour of the palm cockatoos remarkably similar. Rob Heinsohun, who is the...
Who?
Rob Heinsohun of the Australian National University says, you imagine you're drumming in a rock band, they set the beat.
Yeah.
That's what these birds are doing. The birds had their own individual pace. Some liked a rapid-fire beat, but others had a slower style.
Really?
The researchers think the cockatoo's use of drumming as a display of sexual desire, so that's, sort of the come-on to the female cockatoos, right?
Right.
May explain how humans evolved a sense of rhythm. It might have arisen in the first instance in a display of human males showing off to females by bashing sticks on stones. Dr. Heinzun said the birds are believed to live to about 90, comfortably outlasting many of rock's wildest stars.
Oh, really?
Certainly Keith Moon didn't last 90,
Keith did not, no, but he was one of the great drummers.
Isn't that a fascinating story?
No, it's not a fascinating story at all. I would enjoy the story if it was more kind of, brought to life by some video of a parrot hitting some sticks against a rock.
We're going to seek all that out,
and you could then hear the music and you could hear the rhythm. As it is at the moment.
I have a request in.
As it is at the moment, it sounds like a load of old cobblers to me.
No.
Sounds like a load of people who would like to get some more funding to explore some more, ridiculous stories that they've heard.
Only you can take a huge tranche of scientific information and describe it as a load of old cobblers.
It's
honestly, what a philistine.
It is a load of
I don't know
old
why
rubbish.
I work with you. I don't know why I work.
I don't know why you work with me either. You can always walk away like you did the last time. This is Talk Sport. Mr. Parry has said this on Twitter. That's got to be one of the worst stories ever, Porky. It's up there with the one about the hedges that you told before.
And by the way, we have just put out a clip which is absolute proof of parrots playing the drums.
Yeah, but it's not really, is it?
It is.
It's a parrot with a stick, and he's banging the stick against the tree.
Yeah, it's like it was a drum.
Yeah, but it's not really drumming.
Well, I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, everyone wants to rubbish a story, just go to my Twitter feed or go to MG's Twitter feed. You will see absolute evidence of a parrot with a drumstick in its hand bashing against a pretend drum, the bark of the tree.
You could do that, but I would recommend that instead of doing that, you continue to listen to our show because we have a special guest with us who is Catherine Blythe. Catherine, a very good afternoon to you, or very good morning, I should say.
Good morning. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are getting ahead of ourselves because time, of course, is of the essence, as it always is, and your book is called On Time. Finding Your Pace in a World Addicted to Fast. Now, Porky here is a man who doesn't really sleep very much. He's always busy. He's called the Energizer Bunny of Talk Sport because he always seems to be kind of at peak performance level all the time.
I'm just noticing what a multitasker he is. Tweeting, reading, got 5 papers on the desk.
Trouble is, he gets it all wrong is the problem. He gets it all mixed up. Now, your book is all about kind of managing your body clock and managing time better, isn't it?
Well, the starting point was really personal desperation. I seem to be rushing all the time between work, kids, just getting through the day. I never seem to stop. There was no time for myself. But at the end of the day, my to-do list always seemed to be longer. And I started thinking about this and actually realised it wasn't a personal problem. It wasn't limited to sort of busy mums. It seemed to be a broader than a generational issue. Actually, our relationship with time has changed profoundly in the last 10, 15 years, thanks to the internet, all our little pocket time machines. We can do so many things instantly at the stroke of a touch screen. The space-time barrier sort of melted away, which is incredibly liberating. We're living longer than ever. Most of us can expect 1,000 months on Earth, and yet we believe we're time poor. So I wanted to dig deeper, look at why time's sped up, why there never seems to be enough, and if possible, how we can make it ours again.
So if we create pockets of time for ourselves, maybe there's something in me which says I feel guilty being idle. I feel guilty not being, able to do something. But if in the old days when I was a newspaper reporter, you had to drive around for 40 minutes to find a telephone, to get on the telephone, talk to your office.
And by the time you got to that telephone, did you find your thoughts had organised themselves?
Well, probably, and I knew what I was going to say. What I'm saying is now, you just get back in the car and you flick a switch and you've saved yourself 40 minutes by just talking instantly to your office. But what do I do with that 40-minute gap? What do I do with that space where I feel I've done that now? Now, what can I do next?
That's your problem. He always wants to be busy. That's the thing. Whereas I'm the complete opposite. I quite like having periods of calm where I do absolutely nothing.
Well, I think busyness is addictive and it's fantastically exciting. I mean, there's a reason why we all love to go in a fast car. You get dopamine. The more new things you do, the more novelty there is in your life, the more stimulated you are. But what possibly we don't realise, and one of the traps I think people fall into with social media especially, is that you can lapse into a state of continuous partial attention where you're not really concentrating on anything in particular.
And what's that called?
Continuous partial attention.
That is what you have, actually.
What's that?
You've got that.
What is that?
Well, because you don't really pay attention to anything anybody else says. And quite often you are kind of distracted in one way or another.
I can get distracted.
Not because you're looking at a phone or anything, but just generally.
My book isn't saying, we all need to slow down all the time. There's only one way to be. Fast is a jolly good thing. Time pressure can be incredibly effective. I mean, if you want to be, get more done, give yourself less time to do it, then you can drive yourself into what's called a cognitive tunnel, where you're actually just focusing on the task in hand, getting to your goal. You're much less likely to be diverted.
Well, everyone knows if you have no deadline, you never do anything.
Well, depending on your procrastinatory biases. But yes, I mean, one statistic that really struck me is that student doctors, if they're on a 9-hour shift, they're more likely to see more patients than if they have a 12-hour shift, because they are less focused. But the danger of continuous partial attention, of always rushing, is that if it stresses you out, if you get disorganised, if you disengage, you actually become less efficient, and you can end up in this kind of reactive state where you're constantly feeling as if you're chasing the clock. Then you get into kind of panic mode. They actually talk about, for example, think about the best sales technique there is. Hurry up while stocks last. The discount ends in 5 minutes. Better buy now. The reason they do that is to get you mentally into a sort of fight or flight mode. When you're in that state, you tend to grab the nearest thing that looks like a solution to your problem. It makes you more impulsive. Your judgment suffers.
I mean, the PPI adverts now are all, the government will soon bring in a deadline. I mean, nobody knows if they will or not.
That's time pressure. It's very effective for business. There are so many things in the book, it's hard to distill it. But one thing that really made me laugh is how very readily we've allowed our time to be pickpocketed by businesses that make us feel we must hurry, that's the very best thing we can do. I mean, why is it quicker and easier to eat breakfast on the run, to get indigestion, to cover yourself in rubbish? It's a really good sales technique.
Well, one of the things I was fascinated by is there's a line in the book where it talks about why do some hours trudge by really slowly, and yet others seem to go really quickly.
Yes, well,
is that a reality situation or what?
That's when you're enjoying yourself, isn't
time is a perception. Yeah, that's a really good point. Enjoyment affects everything. So, your emotional state dictates how fast or slow time feels. So it can feel incredibly quick on the happiest day of your life, my 15-minute wedding day. But bizarrely, when I look back at my wedding day, I can remember an awful lot. Whereas a dreary, miserable, boring, monotonous day, it seems to just go on and on forever. But when I look back, I can't remember anything. And the reason for that is dopamine. So dopamine is the happiness neurotransmitter. It's stimulated by novelty. That's why we're really excited every time we hear our phone ping. But that affects the memories you form. So when you're happy, your attention wanders. You're much more likely to pick up peripheral details. Your mind's flitting about like a butterfly. And the more memories, the more details in your memories, the longer time retrospectively feels. It's complicated stuff, but it's endlessly fascinating.
For instance, if you're watching 3/4 of an hour of a football match, which is the first half, 45 minutes, that goes by like that. If, however, you are tied to a rack...
which game you're watching.
Well, I suppose
and if you support the team.
Well, that's right. But if, however, you're tied to a rack and somebody's pulling out your toenails for 45 minutes, that would seem like an awful lot longer, wouldn't it?
I would imagine so.
You know what I mean?
Albert Einstein came up with the best line on this. He said, when you're sitting on a park bench with a pretty girl in your lap, that, it takes a second. But
I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore.
No,
to be honest.
But if you're on a hot plate,
that's right.
It will seem like forever.
Mind you, I've watched a few England games, which felt like having your toenails pulled out for 45 minutes.
Well, that's a bit harsh. Can we turn to footballers, please, Catherine? Because one problem eternally that there's been in football is football has too much time on their hands.
Oh, yeah.
They go training. They train quite long hours now.
Well, they're training longer than they did in George Best's day.
They certainly are.
That's true.
They certainly are. You're absolutely right. They do all sorts of special training in the afternoon. But, how would you say to a footballer who came to you, I just don't know what to do with my time during the day? How would you approach that?
Well, it's interesting about footballers because let's assume they're all incredibly well paid. And one thing I really found fascinating is that our time feels less disposable to us the more we're paid for it. So there was a great experiment which found that if you trick people into feeling wealthier, instantly they feel more time pressed. So maybe these things... Yeah.
Well, because they feel more important in the world.
Well, I think because when you know that your hours are worth, say, £1,000 an hour as opposed to £10 an hour, you're more reluctant to squander them, and that changes your attitude. This may be why people who do feel busy actually make slightly bizarre judgments. They tend to, if they feel they've got too much on, they tend to cut back on the things that actually would make their time feel richer. You're more likely to cut back on hobbies. 57% of busy people say they'll cut back on hobbies. 30% on family time.
Right.
But only 7% on work, which is pretty sad.
See, I'll cut back on chores, basically, because I'll make the argument when I'm at home that, my time is very, very well paid.
You sound a very good time manager. I hope there's someone else to do those chores for you.
Yeah, well, I pay somebody else to do it.
Or do you just take off your glasses and not notice?
No. I get somebody else to do it because basically, it's worth paying somebody less money than I'm making an hour.
Sure.
So that I can sit around and not do anything.
But here's something to bear in mind. In fact, interestingly, the stuff that we think makes us happy isn't always what we believe. There was a really ingenious study conducted in Harvard where they gave people, of course, a phone with an app that intermittently, at random points during the day, would say to them, "What are you doing right now? And what are you thinking about?" And they found that the single greatest indicator of someone feeling happy was whether or not their mind was on the task they were doing. If their mind's wandering, you just don't feel quite so good. So mindless tasks, can be very boring. But if they're relaxing, peeling potatoes, you might have to concentrate really hard.
And also,
you'll probably feel better.
And there's an end result as
well.
Yeah.
There's something tangible. Whereas going back to that point about continuous partial attention, if you're doing endless things, but you're never finishing any of them, you're less likely to be efficient. Tasks tackled in tandem take 30% longer to complete than if you do it sequentially. And you're twice as likely to commit mistakes.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you might feel a little bit jangly because your mind is sort of full of incomplete things, which is pretty anxious making. I'm sorry, I haven't answered your point about footballers.
Yes.
Was there more you wanted?
Well, no,
if a footballer came to you, so what can I do with my time? I have too much time in the day.
Let's do some charitable work.
Really? Yeah.
Let's do stuff. But then let's bear in mind they have a short career.
They do.
Yeah, they
do have a short career.
And
so
then
they probably
more time on their hands.
They probably need to spend some time studying accountancy, financial management, and then go off and train some kids.
Yeah,
exactly.
And maybe spend their funds on some outdoor space. Because do you know what? Kids these days, compared to kids in the 70s, they have 90% fewer places that are green outdoors where they can just wander around and feel free.
Amazing. Well, Catherine, it's a fascinating idea. It's a fascinating book.
Indeed.
It's called On Time.
Yes.
Finding Your Pace in a World Addicted to Fast. It's available in all the usual places, I assume.
Yes, Amazon, wherever you like. And go to your bookshop.
Save yourself some
Have
time.
a walk to the bookshop.
Yeah.
It's more enjoyable. And then ask if they haven't got it in stock. I'll come and sign copies if they want me to.
Excellent. Well done.
Catherine, thank you very much indeed. That's
My
Catherine
pleasure.
Blythe. Coming up next, we're going to talk
you.
some more about the parrot that plays the drums and the monkey selfie as well. This is talkSPORT. Couple of good tweets here. One from Gail, who's over in Abu Dhabi. It says, Porkmeister, come to the sunny and warm shores of Abu Dhabi to ease your sciatica. And then he sends a picture of listening to us out there in his car. Outside temperature 50 degrees centigrade.
Unbelievable. I couldn't breathe in that.
That's incredible, isn't
I would die. I'd die. The sun has a terrible effect on my skin, on my eyes. When it's a very bright day.
Yeah.
I have to put on those glasses.
Do you not have sunglasses?
No, but I have the glasses that darken. The shade darkens, as it gets brighter and all that kind of stuff. I feel uneasy. I feel languid. I can't breathe. And crikey,
in that kind of heat, you just stay indoors, though, don't you? You don't actually go out. Or you have to be right next to a swimming pool or something.
Yeah.
John says this. I think there was a parrot that could play snooker a few years ago. John, they called him.
Yes, very good. Yes. Yeah, it's a friend of mine, actually.
John Parrott.
When
did you speak to him last?
When did I speak to him? Solomon Goodison, actually.
Did you?
Yes.
He's a big Evertonian.
Well, I don't want to get into his persuasions, football-wise, on Merseyside, but, he's obviously a boy who's very interested in things.
Yeah, here's one from Darren, who says, I wonder if Porky took enough from that conversation about time to let your guests finish their sentences.
Yes, well, I did, actually. I thought she was an excellent young lady. Thank you very much indeed, Catherine, for telling us all about the...
Eddie says this, the problem with time management books is finding the time to read them. Well, you see, I don't think you're taking it too seriously there, are you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Now then, I told you about the parrots that play the drums.
Yes.
Had a terrific response to that. We've got some footage out there.
Yeah, the footage.
People can see it.
Let's talk about the footage for a moment because somebody very kindly sent us the footage, which has been filmed by the University of Australia. Right?
That's right.
Now, I've looked at this footage, and quite frankly, the idea that this is a picture of a parrot playing the drums is a complete and utter nonsense.
It's not.
It is a complete
and utter
exactly
falsehood. The movement of a drumstick onto a drum.
No, you might as well say, by the way, we've also been told it was Adam and the Ants that had two drummers.
That's right, you've seen that, thank you.
Thank you very much for that piece of information. But this is very much a leap to say that this is a cockatoo playing the drums, because it really isn't. It conjures up. I mean, when you say that, it conjures up the idea of a parrot with two pieces of stick.
Yes.
Playing the drums like Keith Moon or Ginger Baker.
If you constructed a drum of that size, that's what the parrot would do.
No, because he's only doing it with 1 foot.
Yeah.
So first of all, he's more like the one-armed drummer.
You mean?
The one-armed drummer from is it Def Leppard?
Def Leppard, that's right. Yeah.
But he's not as good. He hasn't got a bass.
Electric Light Orchestra also had 2 drummers.
I think you're right.
Yeah, 2 sets of drums.
I think that's true.
Now,
I think Santana might have had 2 drums.
Santana might have done. They had a very heavy bass beat, didn't they?
Yeah.
Now, OK, that's fine. That's one animal story. Yeah. Now, the other animal story, which is intriguing to me, is about the old chimp.
The monkey selfie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's happening there?
Well, a Gwent photographer is involved in this, right?
Gwent, as in Wales?
As in Wales,
yes.
near Chepstow, I think.
That's
David
right.
Slater is his name. He's gone back to court. This is that famous picture which I've put out, by the way, on Twitter, so you can find it.
Yep.
It's a picture that was a monkey called Naruto, which made headlines around the world a few years ago. Basically, what happened was Slater was out in Africa somewhere taking pictures of the wildlife because that's what he does.
Yeah.
The monkey grabbed his camera somehow and took a picture of itself.
Yeah, it
right?
did. Yeah, that's
now,
right.
the monkey selfie, as it's become known, has now then been the subject of a massive lawsuit because basically Slater says that the picture's been used so much and by so many people around the world.
That's right.
That he should be getting the royalties for it because the picture was taken with his materials.
That's right.
However, people for the ethical treatment of animals, PETA,
the animal rights group,
have actually been backing the monkey and saying, no, we will represent the monkey in court because the monkey took the picture and so therefore the monkey has the copyright.
That's right.
Which is bonkers, right?
Well, monkeys can't spend money.
Well, they probably could if they knew how.
Well, it depends who owns the monkey. Do you know who owns the monkey?
Well, nobody owns the monkey. The monkey is a free monkey.
I see. So the monkey's in the wild.
The monkey walks the earth.
So what are PETA, the animal rights group, going to do? They're going to open a bank account for the monkey and start.
Well, I suppose what they might do,
the rights to this picture into the account.
What they might do is allow the monkey to say use that money to improve his environment.
Well, improve his environment, buy himself some bananas or something like that. But again,
possibly.
they don't act in sort of human form.
Yeah, book a hotel for a wedding or something.
That's right. But the twist to this is that what we've learned this morning is Mr. Slater, David Slater, 52, has to go over to America to appeal against the ruling that the monkey owns the copyright, which he says, if I lose, I'll be bankrupt.
Yes.
Because he's got to fund as you know, in America, legal cases are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And a few $100,000 or maybe even to millions of dollars, if he battles this and loses, he's had it.
Yes. I mean, what
terrible
basically
position to be in.
The appeal papers quote this from the animal charity saying, had the monkey selfies been made by a human using Slater's unattended camera, that human would indisputably be declared the author and copyright owner of the photographs.
Well, would he? Because somebody else's equipment.
Yeah, but you see, that's the difference between American copyright law and British copyright law. Because if you remember rightly, if you're a photographer for a newspaper in this country,
that's right.
Basically, all the pictures that you took are the copyright of the newspaper.
That's right.
In America, that's not the case.
That's right.
All the photographs that you take are your copyright personally.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so photographers are generally speaking much better off in America than they are here.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But, I mean, this monkey selfie business could presumably reach mammoth proportions, if you pardon the phrase.
Yes, it could.
Because it could mean that the monkey could become a very wealthy monkey.
Very wealthy monkey, and still one of the world's most famous images.
Yeah, it is one of the most famous.
It is one of the world's most famous images.
It's a great picture.
It's a beautiful picture, and the monkey's smiling, baring his teeth, looking very sly and cheeky and attractive, and it's a picture that's captured the imagination of the world.
Yeah.
What has to be disturbing now is who owns it.
Yes, and who's going to make a load of money off it.
That's right.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to see David Slater going out of business and becoming bankrupt. But, I mean, I can see why he's kind of fighting the case. But if it was me and it was a choice of either going, the risk of going bankrupt and losing everything for one picture, I think I'd just go and take some more pictures.
I think I would, because the fear of poverty, as you quite rightly know, is
well, you have a fear
as you
of
rightly
poverty.
know, is something that drives me on each day, and possibly drives me on to use all the time at my disposal, as explained to me by Catherine Blythe, who was in the studio a few minutes ago.
The next hearing, by the way, is and the case is called Naruto versus Slater.
Yes.
So he's actually got cases against the monkey.
That's right, yeah.
Right, which is amazing. Wednesday, July the 12th, at 10 a.m. in San Francisco, the Ninth Circuit Court.
Yeah, I know. It's an amazing case.
Yeah, incredible case.
And we will keep you posted, folks, as to how it goes,
How's
okay?
Tommy the chimp, by the way? How's that case going?
Well, we're still battling.
When you say we?
Yeah. Well, the movement of support that I built up behind Tommy.
Yeah.
The concrete.
He's still incarcerated, right?
Still in the concrete cell, I'm afraid. But we are battling. We have not forgotten him. We will not forget Tommy. One Tommy Chimp. There's only one Tommy Chimp.
Tommy the Chimp, I think you find. Scott says, is Porky for real? Who owns the monkey?
Yeah.
Give me strength. This is talkSPORT.
Over the top ball to Cruden. Out to the left wing where Rico Ioane! Rico Ioane scores again against the Lions this tour. And now it's a foot race. Rico Ioane against Elliot Daly. And Rico Ioane will win it. And that might well be that. The All Blacks lead the series 1-0.
No excuses about the result because they deserve to win that, but I think there are things that we can work on, can definitely improve. I said, take the opportunities, take the chances.
Here come the Lions. Liam Williams started in his own 22, up to the halfway, gets the overlap, out to Elliot Daly, up to the 22, back inside to Jonathan Davis, beats one, beats two, and gets the ball to Sean O'Brien for one of the greatest tries ever scored.
The British and Irish Lions Tour of New Zealand 2017 preview on talkSPORT in association with Audi. Vorsprung Dirk Technique.
So the second test tomorrow morning, we'll be doing a show from 11 o'clock, of course, by which time we'll know the result.
Yes.
I can't see the result being anything other than a win for the All Blacks, I'm afraid.
Well,
and I'm going to ask you one question.
Yes.
Does Warren Gatland know what he's doing?
Well, you know, when you look at what's going on, the captain for the first test, right?
Omani.
Yes, Omani, is not even on the bench for the second test. In fact,
he's been dropped completely.
He won't even have to change when he gets to the ground.
Well,
you know,
with a bit of luck, maybe he can be on the talkSPORT commentary team.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to take his blazer off and all that kind of stuff. So you have to say to yourself, that's either a brilliant strategic change or it's a sign of a man who is, you know, literally investing in so many options as he lost his grip.
Well, we wonder about that because he's put Sam Warburton in, right? Now, Sam Warburton says he's ready to play. We were told last time that Sam Warburton hadn't really played enough rugby because he'd been injured and he wasn't really fit to be the captain. He played during the week, which meant that perhaps they decided to change their minds about that. But it seems to me that, you know, they've played so many different games with so many different squads and different players that they're meant to be finding out what the great... We were told at the beginning of the tour that we're going to find out what the great pairings are who plays best with each other.
That's right.
He's putting in, like, Owen Farrell with somebody who's never played with before.
Yeah.
And Andy Farrell, who's his dad, who's the forwards coach, right? This is the guy who, before the last test, said, oh, yes, the confidence is very high. We all believe we can beat the All Blacks.
Yes, but they said that last week.
He's one of these... that's what I'm saying. He said that last week.
Yeah.
He's one of these motivational types who says, if you say it, it will happen. Well, I'm sorry. And this week he's saying, oh, well, Sonny Bill Williams is such a good player because of all the space he gets to play. We're not going to give him any space.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean...
I don't see it happening at all.
You know, I've been looking at all sorts of plans of how Farrell and Sexton can provide more variety in attack, you know, two playmakers and will it all work? But I think it's a bit late when you get to the second test to start introducing brand new plans. You know, I mean that's what all the warm-up games are for. Yeah. To try and arrive at some sort of, you know,
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, supposedly
arrangement that you think is going to work, and it didn't work, and now it's it's Plan B.
The fact that he had so many different selection sort of criteria for the early games was supposedly, as you say, to get the best team, the best 15,
that's right,
to start against the All Blacks. And the first game was woeful, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he was saying. I think Warren Gatland said afterwards that they learned some lessons and that, you know, it was a very difficult game because the All Blacks were much better than they were and they deserved to win, all of which is true. I said to you after that game last Saturday,
you did,
that will be the best result the British and Irish Lions get, and I'm sticking with that.
Right, now you're saying that the size of the defeat will be greater than last week. You're saying it'll be more than... I'm only get beat by last week.
I think they got... I mean, they got
15 points.
They got a late try.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
actually the scoreline wasn't as bad as it should have been.
No, exactly. But you're saying it'll be even... The gap will be even wider.
I believe it will be.
Well, I can't go along with that. I'm going to have to say that I think we'll have a British miraculous recovery.
Really?
Yes.
How do you think? What you mean? You think the Lions are actually going to win?
I think there'll be a miraculous British recovery, and I hope the Lions will win.
Really?
Okay? Yes.
I really can't see that happening.
Well, yeah, you know, you may well be right, because it seems unlikely.
30-15 was the score last time.
Yeah, that's what I said, 15 points, you see. I got that absolutely right, as usual.
Oh, yeah, OK. Well, you don't get any extra points for getting, you know, the actual score differential correct.
Yeah, but as you quite rightly say, by the finish of our show tomorrow, we'll know exactly what's... I very much hope they win for two reasons. Firstly, I want Britain to beat New Zealand, but secondly, I don't want the series to be over after two matches. It'd be a dead rubber.
That would then be a dead rubber, but I can't see it happening. I really can't see it going any other way. I think a whitewash is definitely on the cards.
Yeah, well,
because, I mean,
not
through any fault of their own, but
No.
New Zealand are just a fantastic team.
Yes.
I mean, the All Blacks have been called variously the best team, not just the best rugby team, but the best sports team of all time.
That's right.
I mean, people used to talk about the Barcelona of Messi and before Suarez got there and all that, who had, when Pep Guardiola was in charge, when they were in fact, one of the best teams that anybody had ever seen at anything, right?
Yes, indeed.
However, you'd have to say that actually that's, no longer the case. And the All Blacks, I think, are probably the best team ever at anything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know what I mean?
I suppose the introduction of Itoje will, he's calling the line out, isn't he? He'll bring a lot of energy to it, but I wonder if his breakdown presence will help slow down the whole of the All Blacks plan. The whole
His
of the All Blacks
breakdown
team.
presence?
Hey? Yeah.
What are you talking about?
His breakdown presence.
His breakdown presence? What do you mean by that?
Well, he's like a defensive midfielder in football. He has to get in and break them up, and break them down as they're trying to put a move together. He gets in the way and stops them from doing that.
Really?
That's the whole idea.
I didn't realise you were going to start, using all these rugby terms.
Really?
Because,
Why?
Because you don't know anything about rugby.
Well, excuse me. I was the rugby correspondent for talkSPORT in the 2007
Let's
World
talk
Cup.
to Dan, who's down in Cardiff.
Yes.
He's got a view. Dan, a very good afternoon to you.
How's it going, lads?
Yeah, very well, mate.
good.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, as you can probably tell, I'm a Welsh rugby fan.
Indeed.
For the accent.
Yes.
And obviously we've had Gatland for the last 8 years, and one thing that he's shown is he's inflexible with change. I mean, since the World Cup, the last World Cup going into the Six Nations, we'd had 3 new caps. Now he's gone to New Zealand, and he's changing everything. I think there's 2 things on this. I think he is getting it from all angles, British press, New Zealand press. He's feeling the pressure, but the other thing that must be on his mind, with that pressure that's coming on him from the press, they're all accusing him of his poor style of rugby, is potentially him showing that he can adapt because he wants the Kiwi job in the future. So I think it's a combination of the pressure on him and the fact he wants to show that he can change things up.
But, I mean, do you honestly have any belief, Dan, that with Sam Warburton as captain, the Lions will put in a much better result and they will possibly win this game?
No, I think it's a smokescreen, if I'm honest, Mike, because ultimately they're talking about Sam Warburton, one man, by the way, affecting the breakdown and bringing a bit more physicality. But the breakdown wasn't the problem. The problem was the offloads they kept offloading, getting in behind the gain line. When you get in behind the gain line, you're always trying to catch up.
That was exactly my impression, Dan. That was exactly my impression.
So Porky going on about the breakdown is a load of rubbish, really.
No, it's not. It's a very pertinent point. How do you think it's going to go, Dan? How do you think it's going to go?
The All Blacks have been together for another week, and they beat us by 15 points last week. So I don't think it's looking good, especially the changes we've made. It's only going to be harder.
Very wise man. Dan, you're obviously a very knowledgeable man from Welsh rugby background, Welsh perspective. And of course, Gatland's from Wales, and, so you might think that Dan would be a great supporter of his. But he's just not doing
from
the business.
Wales. I mean, he's the Welsh...
He's not doing the business, is
coach,
he?
Yeah.
He's a Welsh coach. Yeah, well, they've quite often had a coach that's not from Wales.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
But he's from Wales in the sense that he's their coach. Got a good one tweet here from Paul. He says, what's this? Porky would die if he went to Abu Dhabi. Tell him I'll pay for his plane ticket.
That's very nice, isn't it? That's going across a line, that is. Wishing me dead.
He's not wishing you dead.
Wishing me dead.
No, he's just helping you out. This is talkSPORT. This is talkSPORT. We are the two mics, and I'm delighted to say that it's cocktail hour.
It certainly is.
It's not just because it's a Friday. It's not just because we fancy a drink at this time of the day, because the sun is now well over the yardarm. JJ Goodman is here, bartender and founder and owner, in fact, of the London Cocktail Club Bar Group. Yeah. JJ, very good afternoon.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you very
so much for popping in. Now, Porky is a man that likes a drink, as you can probably tell by looking at him. But he's not really a cocktail man, to be honest.
No, not really.
So, I mean, I've been drinking with this guy for about 35 years. Right? Yep. And I don't think I've ever bought you anything more elaborate than a gin and tonic.
Or a Harvey Wallbanger.
I've never bought you a Harvey Wallbanger.
Really?
No,
Okay.
I've never bought you one of those.
I tell you what about a Southern Comfort on the rocks?
Something come on the rocks is not a cocktail,
No,
is it?
cocktail,
JJ will tell me.
Or elaborate for that matter.
No, it's not. Well, he's not a very elaborate guy.
Yeah, well, I'm not. So why don't you dish me up something which is going to, sparkle my...
Well, hang on. Before we get to that, right, we need to have a little bit of a preamble. You can't wait to get a drink down.
Well, that's absolutely
that's
true.
I mean, maybe give him something while he's waiting. But basically,
it's free.
There is. It's not actually. No, I'm going to charge you. There is a sort of resurgence in the cocktail. Yeah, that's right.
I didn't tell you that before I got here.
There is a resurgence in the cocktail business, isn't there? And I mean, I'm interested interested in, because when I started drinking cocktails when I was quite sort of
14,
about 15 actually, up at Jack Straw's Castle in Hampstead, they had a cocktail bar at the top of the restaurant, and I used to have things like a thing called a Heat on the Heath, which was Pernod and vodka, and I've always been fascinated by these kinds of mixes. In fact, when I went to university, I started a cocktail club. And I got to keep I got to keep all the booze in my room.
Yeah, you didn't finish the course, did you?
No, I didn't. No, but I learned a lot about drinking.
Yeah.
And although I've never worked behind a bar,
practicing ever since.
I love mixing drinks.
Probably learned a lot about hangovers as well with Pernod.
I did. And I mean, it seems now that there's more. We were looking at a Times guide to the easy cocktails to make. And there's a lot of sort of old ones like White Russians and Negronis and mimosas and dirty martinis. Martinis have gone kind of mad, haven't they? But I mean, is why are cocktails back? I suppose is the question.
I think it's just about people having more choice, diversity, more range. You know, I think everyone loves a pint, and the beer movement's obviously blown up as well. Yeah. Everyone became a wine expert for a little while.
Right.
But I just think cocktails can do so much more taste-wise, and there's so much more choice.
Well, of course there is. Now I think we should get on with it, and I'd like to see you. I'd like to see you, please, construct a Negroni for me, please.
Yeah. Okay. Nice and easy then. So it's just really simple. 3 parts.
Okay.
Gin.
Campari,
which is an Italian bitters.
Yeah.
And sweet vermouth, so like a red vermouth.
Oh, right, okay.
Also known as Italian vermouth.
Yes, okay.
I don't think you're going to like this.
Why not?
It's not your kind of drink.
Isn't it? Well, I'll soon tell you.
Nice little trick is I like to use extra gin. So extra gin. I'm like 2 parts gin and then equal parts of the vermouth and the Campari.
Brilliant.
Another little trick as well.
Yes.
A twist of orange. Use a potato peeler.
Okay, I've never had a twist of orange. I've had lime or lemon, but never orange.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, okay.
Give goes well with Campari,
yeah, very good. Yeah.
Grab my spoon, give it a little stir for you, give it a bit of dilution, and you are away.
Thank you very much indeed. Right.
In business. Now, one of the things I'm going to ask you about now is, of course, we both spent a lot of time in New York. We lived there for about, I lived there mostly for the whole of the 80s.
Love it.
And cocktails making in America is a proper art. Bartending is a proper art.
Wow,
I still struggle.
Splendid.
You like that? I like that. Yeah, he's loving it. Look, the alcohol level's kicking in straight away. And he's obviously back to the state he was in last night when he was sending out those tweets about the new Sunderland manager. Anyway, no, so I still struggle slightly in this, even in London. They're getting a lot better. But, I mean, for years you couldn't get a martini in London. You had to go to, like, Savoy or somewhere to get one.
Sure.
Now you can get one anywhere, and people are a lot better at making them. But they're still not quite there, as far as I'm concerned, like the American bartenders are.
Oof, well,
what do you say
cause a lot of upset. But no, the martini's a really perfect example. It's just really about getting it ice cold.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of not really grasp the right amount of vermouth to put in.
Right. Like none, basically.
None, basically. And the right amount of ice to chill it at. Yeah, so we've had kind of over-diluted, over vermouth martinis for years, but now we've learned less is more. Just stick to the booze and get it ice cold. That's the perfect martini every time.
Yeah. And does the cost factor kick in for a lot of people? Because, I mean, it's not cheap, is it, drinking cocktails?
No, it's not. Like, if you want a well-made anything, then you've got to pay for it, unfortunately. But as cocktails are becoming more and more readily available, I think we're finding that the price point is dropping.
Yeah, it's bound to. I mean, if you get a jug, you get it, like, discount rate, don't you? You know what I mean?
He likes to go to Wetherspoons.
Well, what's wrong with Wetherspoons? There's nothing wrong with Wetherspoons. You talked about having a beer earlier. What's wrong with Wetherspoons?
Nothing wrong with Wetherspoons at all.
When was the last time you got a Negroni in Wetherspoons? When you go and ask for one?
Would you like a quick sip? I know
I can't.
You shouldn't. No?
I'd love to. I would dearly love to.
One sip is not going to put you.
I think even Wetherspoons can make you decent Negroni if they.
Do you think so?
If they get the ratios right.
Right. Well, listen. Let's move on because we're going to finish with a Harvey Wallbanger. But what about a slow, comfortable screw? And that's not me propositioning another person on Earth. That is the name of a
well, Mike,
cocktail.
I heard your favourite cocktail. It was a Harvey Wallbanger, and this is a twist on the Harvey Wall.
Right.
I'm going to pop some of that in.
Okay.
I'm going to add Comfortable, some Southern Comfort.
Lovely. Oh, I love Southern Comfort, yeah.
Screw is our screwdriver.
Right.
So our vodka.
Yeah, beautiful.
We're going to add in our orange juice.
Yeah.
And then the Wall, which is our Wallbanger. So we're going to finish that off for you, mate, with just a touch of Galliano.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfectly done.
Excellent. Now you're going to give it a bit of a Tom Cruise shake. Yeah?
Should we do that,
Let's do that. Yes, please, yeah.
Try to knock the microphone.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. In, what was he in? Bartender. Cocktail. That's
bartender.
Right, yeah. Yeah, bartender. Yeah, that's right, yeah. I knew it was something like that, yeah.
Nailed it. That's all in there. Slice of orange for you. And
you do realise there's a Porky quiz coming up after this. This is going to be great fun. You got 0 out of 10. I've decided actually you'll go from 1 out of 10.
This looks purely excellent. I mean, just lift the old orange there.
Very nice. Is that good?
It's one of the best drinks I've ever tasted.
There you go.
Hey.
You know, we're going to have to
take a bow.
We're going to have to visit your bar and come and spend some real money with you.
Please do,
So where's the nearest bar?
Monument.
We've just opened the newest one in Monument, yes. We've got, there's 9 London cocktail clubs all around London. Newest one's just have the Monument.
Yeah.
No, not far at all. But yeah, they're good fun, you know. Come dance on the table, drink some martinis.
Okay.
I promise not to water them down too much.
Hope you've got some strong tables if he's dancing on them. We won't have any furniture left, mate, I'm telling you. That is absolutely superb.
One of the new drinks, which funny enough, my daughter likes to drink a lot of, is an Aperol Spritz. That's kind of relatively sort of. That's a new. I mean, I've certainly been to pubs with her, and she'll ask for it, and they won't know how to make it.
Well, I'm trying to I'm not plugging today, but I did happen to bring a pre-made one here. Do you want to try a touch?
An Aperol Spritz. All right, then I'll try a touch.
Yeah, just a touch. Yeah, go on.
Pass that round to you.
Thank you very much indeed.
But yeah, again, Aperol Spritz. Just Aperol, soda, Prosecco, Americano. You just add a touch of vermouth.
Very nice.
Yeah, with that guy there, that's from the Craft Cocktail Company. So they're,
and it's more
they're
wine-based, this, right? 3 shots of Suave, it says.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't recommend that straight away, but if just keep it really simple with your Aperol, your soda, your Prosecco, and again just a touch of citrus in there as well. Just will really liven it up for you and bring it to life.
Okay,
but yeah, great
absolutely
drink,
fantastic.
very quaffable. If you're ever in Italy, they just drink them everywhere. Every single street corner is just littered with them.
Yeah.
It's great.
And why? I mean, a drink like that. Why has it taken so long to come to this country and become popular?
You know what I think it is? I think it's the gin craze.
Yeah.
Since gin has absolutely blown up, we've seen drinks like the Negroni come along and introduce people into kind of these bitter flavours that we never used to have before. And then, you know, the Aperol Spritz has kind of jumped on the bandwagon with that.
My colleague here tells me there's more gin produced in Scotland than any other country in the world now.
It's true, yeah. Absolutely right.
That's an interesting
it's all coming
fact.
from Scotland.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of distilleries up there, obviously, that make whiskey. And when they're kind of sat around waiting for the barrels to come of age, they've got all these stills. They thought, well, let's use them. So they've started making white spirits, such as vodka and gin. So it's good use of time.
You see that note on the notes where it says only mention the name of the drink once? See that?
Why?
You've mentioned it about 8 times.
Why can't I mention it more than once?
Well, because it's a family show.
Oh, it's a family show, I agree, yeah. But anyway, this is fantastic. How long has your business been going? Because you seem remarkably young for a man who's running a cocktail bar empire.
He only looks young because you're so old.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I've been in bars since I was about 15 years old. So we got London Cocktail Club opened, when I was 24. So I was a young kid. But love my cocktails, my cocktail competitions. Got to travel around the world mixing drinks for different people and
fantastic
in different places. It was great. So
and
we
you've
got
just taken on the train, haven't you? Eurostar?
Yeah, the guys at Eurostar have asked if I'll do the cocktails for them in Paris. So we've got back over there on Wednesday. Yeah. So it's a nice little trip out there.
Sounds good.
We're doing some stuff for the Marriott Hotel Group as well. Just got back from Dubai with those guys.
Yes, well,
that's one hell of a city.
This is a business you should be in, Porky.
Yeah, well,
why are you not working in the beverage industry?
Well, I
spent a lot of time in pubs.
I thought I'd either use my brains to make a living or the booze, and I tried the booze initially, but then a bit of rot took in on the brain, so I thought I wouldn't rot it anymore. So that's what
good idea.
Yeah. This is lovely.
Some people suggest you might be bladderated by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, could be.
We shall see. JJ, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
And I'm sure there'll be lots of people who'll be very willing to drink some more cocktails in the absence of my thirst being quenched.
That's right. And can we remind our millions of listeners there, please?
Can you just look at the time?
Yeah, don't worry about the time. Of the London Cocktail Club Bar Group.
Yes.
That's it?
That's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah,
see you for a drink. Coming up, it's the Porky Quiz. Now, being a fan of Poldark, you'll recognise that music straight away, won't you?
Yes, I will. And I love the crashing waves over the cliffs and the rocks, as the camera pans up and down that beautiful Cornish coastline.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, the Porky quiz today is, of course, on Poldark, and we are publishing it live right now on Facebook.
Feel a bit funny, actually.
You feel a bit funny, what, because of all that drink you've just had?
Just a couple of cocktails,
A couple of cocktails. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you top up the old alcohol levels. Sometimes it's not the best thing to do.
Who's this, Dog Park?
Pardon? Poldark, yes. No, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Now, I'm just putting out a link to the Facebook Live scenario.
Let's get that out so people can see.
And Izzy, the producer, is in position. She's got the special questions that have been put together by the independent quizmasters. Here they are. Thank you very much indeed, Izzy. The Porky quiz subject, Poldark, as you can see.
Yeah, Dolbark.
Why have you got your phone in your hand?
Because I'm just wanting to retweet the link so people can watch it live, okay?
Oh, okay. Well, it's just going out now.
Just going out now, that's excellent.
So watch the Porky quiz right now live.
Yes.
I'm predicting that you'll probably get 0 out of 10, given that you've now been imbibing before the actual quiz questions are on. If you get one right, you will hear this sound.
Right.
Up to now, I've offered no violence, but if you persist...
If you get one wrong, you'll hear this sound.
France is a desperate place.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You don't look as if you're ready. Would you
I'm
mind
trying to find
down
the link.
Would you mind putting down your artificial age?
Yeah, I'll watch the Porky quiz. I've got it. Yeah, okay.
So you're going to send that out?
It's gone.
Okay, good.
It's gone.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, question number one.
Phone down.
Question number one. How many Poldark novels did Winston Graham write?
How many did he write?
How many novels, yes.
He wrote altogether... It's either 8 or 9. It's either 8 or 9. 8 or 9. It's 9.
It's not.
No. How many is this?
It's 12.
12. I knew it was 12.
Incorrect. Question number 2.
Okay.
From which war does Captain Ross Poldark return home to Cornwall in the first episode?
That would be, being a student of history, I should be able to catch this one up because I remember the dates at times. The American War of Independence.
That is correct.
Hooray!
So you got 1 out of 2. Question number 3.
50%.
What is the name of Ross Poldark's cottage?
His cottage?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a cottage, actually. It's a barn. It's a converted barn.
The question says, what is the name of Ross Poldark's cottage?
Well, I think that might be an inaccurate question, you see.
Well, does he live in a barn?
He lives in a barn,
really?
Yeah, a converted barn.
Converted into what? A cottage?
Living space.
No, converted into a cottage.
It's called, because there is a nameplate on the door, it's called...
I'm going to have to hurry you.
Yeah, OK. It's called... Poldark Towers.
Incorrect.
No, all right.
It's called Nampara.
What? It's called what?
Nampara.
Nampara. What does that mean?
Well, I don't know. You're the guy that watches the show.
Yeah.
Question number 4.
Non-bread.
Who is Ross Poldark's arch enemy?
His arch enemy is Warlegan.
I need 2 names.
No.
What? It's somebody else as well.
No, I need 2 names.
George Warlegan.
Correct.
Hooray!
But if you persist.
Question number 5.
50%. Back to
Ross,
50%.
it's 2 out of 4. Question number 5. Ross Poldark actor Aidan Turner played Dwarf Killy in which film trilogy?
Say again, please.
Ross Poldark actor Aidan Turner played Dwarf Killy in which film trilogy?
What's this got to do with Poldark?
Well, it's got to do with Aidan Turner, who plays Poldark.
Yeah, he's an actor, though. Well, I'm doing it about a fictional character called Poldark.
All I'm doing is reading out the questions. I do not put the questions
so
together.
Film trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's 3 films, right?
Correct.
3 films. Aidan Turner.
Yeah. Played a dwarf.
Eh?
He played a dwarf.
Aidan Turner's not a dwarf.
He played a dwarf.
Well, did he play it on his knees?
He's not a pirate either, is he?
Did he play it on his knees?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
A dwarf is half the size of a man, so I'm not sure how he did that. But
no,
anyway.
I mean, they do a lot of things in films that aren't real. You know that, don't you?
All right. I would say it was, yes, I think I've got this right. I'd say it was the... Ooh, it was something to do with murder and horror.
Okay.
I think it was the Chronicles of the Phantom of the Opera.
Incorrect.
France.
There are no Chronicles of the Phantom of the Opera.
What was it?
Question, it was The Hobbit. Question number 6. What was the name of the epidemic that swept through the village in Series 1 and took the life of Julia, Ross and Demels's daughter?
Yes. Demels's daughter?
Ross and Demels's daughter.
Oh, yeah, the babby, yeah. It was called... The Black Plague.
Incorrect.
No.
It was called the Putrid Throat.
Putrid Throat.
Question number
Same
7.
thing, actually.
No, it's not.
Same thing.
What is the nationality of Hyder Reed, who plays Elizabeth Warligan?
What's the what?
What is the nationality of Hyder Reed, who plays Elizabeth Warligan?
Nationality?
Yes.
Or of the character, you mean?
Well, of Hyder Reid, who presumably is the actress.
Oh, the actress, yeah. She's New Zealand.
Incorrect.
No!
She's Icelandic.
It's a desperate place.
Icelandic. I thought she was South African.
You just said she was from New Zealand.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Question number 8. What was the name of Demels's dog?
Demels's dog?
Yeah.
Rover.
Incorrect.
No, I think that's wrong.
No,
that's wrong.
It's Garrick, actually.
Garrick, a stupid name
You better
for a
stop
dog.
drinking, I think.
No,
question number 9. Yeah. Which member of the production staff is named after a character in Poldark?
Hey?
Which member of our production staff is named after a character in Poldark?
Ross!
Correct!
Ross Poldark!
Woo! Can you believe that?
33 1/3%.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
He actually is named after the original Poldark.
Really?
His mother loved the original show so much that she named Ross.
No.
She did.
Really?
Yeah.
Good God, that's fantastic. Yeah.
You do know who Ross is, don't you? You're looking a bit blank.
No, he's one of the people through the glass there.
Yeah. Right. Question number 10. So far you've got 3.
33 1/3%.
Which is not bad, but of course it's not as good as the win record of the new Sunderland manager, is it?
No, it's 34%, isn't it?
No, he had 48%.
48%,
So you can't even get as good as that. Question number 10.
Yes.
So that you can get 40%. What was the name of the actor who played Ross Poldark in the original 1975 Poldark TV series?
Ooh. I tell you who it was. Didn't he go on to become James Bond?
I've no idea what he went on to become.
Yeah, I believe it was. In fact, I'm pretty sure. Just thinking aloud for a minute, okay? James Bond actor who had a rugged sort of, Timothy Dalton.
Incorrect.
No!
It was Robin Ellis.
Robin Ellis? I've never heard of him.
Well, he was the original Poldark.
It sounds like a half-baked to
you've
me.
actually done better than I thought you were going to do.
Yeah, I think
You've
so.
done 3 out of 10. But it's nowhere near as good as, of course, as you would say, the record of Simon Grayson, who's at 48%. 3 out of 10, 30%. No more for him. This is the Porky quiz.
Neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours. Just a friendly wave each morning helps to make a better day.
This is the Two Mics on talkSPORT with Wix. Buy one, get one free on all Cuprinol wood care. Hurry up, though, because it all ends on Monday. A couple of people say they can't believe how badly you performed in the quiz.
Well, I didn't perform badly. I performed well.
Porky Parry, the self-styled TV critic who knows everything about Poldark, scores 3 out of 10 of the Porky quiz.
Yeah, but stupid...
Big sigh.
Stupid questions like, about books and previous actors and all that. I wanted to do it on the Poldark current series. 3 of the questions did not relate to that at all.
Well, you didn't say anything about the current series.
Yeah, of course I did.
The quiz was on Poldark.
Oh, it was on Poldark. And what do you think it was on Poldark for? Because it's currently a series on TV. Yeah. Anyway, listen, that Neighbours song, right? Yeah. One of the most famous TV tunes themes in the world.
I suppose you could say that.
Written by Tony Hatch, I think I'm right in saying. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, many years ago.
All right.
But I've come across a report in one of my journals saying that most Britons have no idea what their neighbours' full names are.
Yeah.
Some have lived next door to their neighbours for 7 years, but still only know them as pal or mate or hello.
Well, I mean, sometimes
amazing?
It's even worse than that. I mean, I don't even talk to most of the neighbours that I see.
I don't see most of the neighbours.
If I occasionally will say hello to them.
Yes.
If I see somebody coming up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
But not always.
Yeah.
And I don't always recognise them.
No, you're absolutely right. Almost a third of those quizzed in a survey could not recall the first names of people living just yards away.
Yeah.
While more than half were in the dark when it came to surnames. What sort of neighbours did you have when you were a kid growing up?
We knew all our neighbours when we were growing up.
Right, that's what I thought,
I lived in a house which had been converted into flats.
Well, absolutely.
So we had, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other flats in the building.
Yes.
And we pretty much knew all of them. And quite often we would spend time with them and we'd visit their flats quite regularly. Yeah. So it was a much more friendly scenario.
And would your mum, go out with other mums with all the kids, picnics and all that kind of stuff?
Not really.
Know what I mean?
No, not really.
Well,
because one of the things about school for me was I went to school in West London, but I lived in North London, so I didn't actually live very near my school.
Sure.
So most of my friends lived near the school, which was out of Holland Park, Shepherd's Bush sort of way. When you say I see, I can tell that you're not paying any attention at all.
I'm paying attention. Now, the point is, the reason that we don't get our neighbours these days is because basically you only meet them if you're going in and out of your door.
Yeah.
And if they're not coming out in and out the door at the same time, why would you bother?
Did you not have the policeman neighbour down in Gosport?
Yes.
Is he still around?
I haven't seen him for a while.
Well, you haven't been down there for a while either, I suppose.
Oh, no, I was there a couple of weeks ago and...
yeah, but what I'm saying is you haven't been there on a regular basis really this year, have you?
No, I haven't really. But there's a very nice chap who lives at the end of the corridor to mine. Uh-huh. He's over 80.
All right.
And,
what's his name?
Do you know? I don't know.
You don't know, do you?
But he got mugged.
Did he?
He got mugged on the way home. Yeah, Gosport. Yeah, got mugged.
So it's a rough area down there.
No, it's not a rough area. No, the cops
they mug 80-year-olds. It's a rough area.
The cops who came round said it was a very unusual incident, and that these were just people who were passing by. But actually, that's not the worst of it.
No, I don't believe that.
In the block next to me, right, I got home one night, talking about neighbours and all these cops around and all that. And it turned out that a woman had stabbed her husband to death in the kitchen.
There's some kind of crime wave going on in Gosport.
No, what had happened is a terrible story. What had happened is that they'd moved down from the north of England. They'd sold all the big house and all that kind of stuff and invested in a load of cottages to rent out somewhere, I don't know, somewhere else, somewhere in Wales or something.
Wales?
Yeah.
Why would they live in Gosport?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps they had family down there.
Wasn't there cottages around there that they would rent out?
Well, I don't know the full story. Anyway, it turned out that the business wasn't making any money because nobody wanted the cottages they lived in. They were too remote or something like that. And she blamed her husband for selling the big house and wasting all the money. And he said, I thought we weren't going to argue about this. And she stabbed him.
Well, presumably there was a bit
over
more
the
to
stake.
it than that.
No, that was it. She got 7 years.
Was there not like bladderation involved?
Well, could have been, yeah. But anyway...
Sounds like a very rough part of the world, anyway.
No, it's not. It's a very nice part of the world, honestly.
No, I don't think so.
And
what about your neighbours here? You've got a woman that you sometimes give presents to, right?
That's right, yeah.
Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. What's her name?
I don't want to go into that.
Why?
Well, I don't think it's fair.
Well, just give her a first name.
No, I'm not going to.
Why not?
Well, because I don't think I should.
Why?
Well, I don't think identifying people like that is fair. And when you say
people all the time,
when you say I give her presents, I mean
you told me you gave her presents.
I gave her a few bottles of wine for Christmas. That's what
very
we do.
Nice of you.
That's what we do. That's neighbourly.
And what did she give you? She gave you hot cross buns or something?
No, she gave me a football quiz box.
A football quiz box?
Yeah.
You've never said anything about that?
No, I haven't actually.
Why don't you bring it in? I'll give you a football quiz.
That's a good idea. I might do that. Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah.
Plus,
you don't want to tell me your name?
Plus a bottle of Southern Comfort.
All right.
Yeah, so that's not bad, is it?
Is that the one you brought to my place?
It could have been. Now then, it says many neighbours are used to referring to those who live next door as Thingy and what's his name?
Thingy?
Yeah, Thingy and
I
what's
never
his
call
name?
anybody Thingy.
When talking about people living nearby.
Yeah.
1 in 5 has had a neighbourly argument, according to a survey.
Well, I've had the neighbourly argument with the guy who wants me to move my car all the time.
Yeah, have you seen that nutter lately?
I haven't seen him actually since... Okay. The week we had the argument.
Yes.
And funnily enough, ever since that week, I haven't been able to park in that space anyway because there's been another car parked there.
Okay.
What do you mean, right, okay?
Yeah, I
not
understand.
Listening to me.
Yes, I did. You haven't been able to park in the space because somebody else has been there.
But what I don't know is whether he's gone to the person that's now parked there and said to them, I want to move my car.
Have they got a shorter, shallower car?
Well, they've got a small car, yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have interrupt his view so much.
But he's one floor up.
I don't understand it.
Why? How could that block his view?
Yeah. Now, 1 in 10 Britons, we all have rows with neighbours, usually over noise and that sort of stuff, and bad behaviour, that. But 1 in 10... Britons say they hate their neighbours. 6% resorting to legal action, 2% claiming they've been assaulted.
People do. I mean, we were talking to one of our colleagues only yesterday who said that there's a terrible neighbour that she has to put up with who thinks he's a musician and plays the piano really, really loudly at ridiculous times of the day and night.
Yeah. I had a neighbourly situation the other day which resolved itself brilliantly because of my tactics.
Really?
I noticed a mattress. By the way, there's mattress mountains all over this country.
No, they're not. No, they're just in the places where you live. So Gosport is a crime, mecca, basically, for people, as we've now found out.
Yeah.
Similarly, Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, where you live, is like a fly-tipping paradise.
Well, it's not, but
it is.
This guy moves into a new apartment in the block, and he has it done out. But in fairness to him, everything that came out was labelled from his place, and he had most of it taken away.
Right.
And then the mattress turned up with a couch. Now, these have to be specially
When you
dealt
say
with.
turned up, what do you mean turned up?
Well, 1 minute they're not there, and the next minute they're piled up against the bins, you know what I mean?
So it was outside the building?
Outside the building. And it's very unsightly. And if somebody was coming to, invest in a property in my block, I'd be very unhappy about it. But anyway, he stuck a notice on it saying, council pickup arranged for next week.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, I see, you're just trying to fool me into thinking it's going to be collected, are you? Well, I'll keep a beady eye on this, pal. And if it's here any later than next week, you'll get...
This is how you spoke to him?
No, I didn't. I just thought that.
Oh, I see.
I just thought that.
Right.
So, anyway, I come home from work one day, and lo and behold, it's gone. So I rang up the council and said, is this like a service? And they do provide the service. It's not much, about 30 quid to take it away.
Well, that's quite a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
You see, people keep thinking that you're some kind of multi-millionaire millionaire.
No, I'm not.
You know, because you already said earlier in the show that 60-odd thousand a year was quite a small amount of money.
Yeah, but I meant I meant to professional sports people.
You now say 30 quid for somebody to take some rubbish away.
Yes.
It's not very much money.
Well, you know, as you pointed out, you know, we did sort of do a little bit of entertaining yesterday, and by the time every hanger-on in the office had turned up, no, I'm only joking, kids, the round had got to 42 quid.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's more than £30.
It certainly is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, but you just waste it in a bar. Apparently it's Tony Hatch's birthday, by the way.
Yeah.
Says Michael.
What,
He's
Tony
78.
Hatch's birthday?
He's 78.
Today?
Today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
He also wrote the theme tune for Crossroads and Emmerdale.
Yes, he did. He did.
Here's one from Jamie. He says, being a Hampshire resident myself, I can confirm Gosport is rough.
No, it's not, honestly. I mean, Gosport's like any other town. There are parts of it which, you know, you don't find quite salubrious as other parts, you know what I mean?
Well, I didn't find any of it
no, I'm not having that. No, there's parts of it which are lovely. Parts of
really?
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Now, we are the Two Mics on talkSPORT with Wix, of course. Every day we give away £100 Wix gift card to the best caller. Today's winner was Stephen, the Sunderland fan.
That's right.
Now, he wasn't buzzing about the appointment of Simon Grayson, but he said it was also the right appointment. He also tried to have a bet with you, where he offered you a free steak dinner.
Yes, he did.
If you were right that Simon Grayson wasn't actually the right man.
Yes.
Or you would have to take him out somewhere.
Yes.
If you won.
Yes.
And Sunderland didn't get promoted.
That's right.
But you turned that down.
Well, I did turn it down because I do honestly believe I'm in the right here, and I wouldn't, under any circumstances, take gifts from our listeners because they're valuable people. We value them very highly, and we're not going to go around ripping them off on bets which I know I'm going to win.
Luke says this: muggings, dumped cars, rubbish and murder. Is it Gosport or Drossport?
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Every town has its good and bad areas. You know that. You know as well as I do.
Yes, I know, but Gosport has more bad areas than most.
No!
Anyway, this is talkSPORT.
It is.
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.